line screaming like a siren at night. Red and blue shout and nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody's loud, nobody's got facts. Feeds keep scrolling, nerves stay tight. Matchsticks flicked in the dead of night. They sell fear, cheap package the lies, while the clock keeps ticking, empires on fire. Can't sit quiet while the world's on edge. Lines in the sand, standing on the ledge. No script, no leash, no polish, quiet. Just a voice in the dark and a spark to the wire. This is and I bring the fire. Gonna light it higher. No filter, no fear, I say it raw. Strike the match, let it burn through the fog. This is and I bring the fire. And I bring the fire. Everybody's selling truth like a brand, buying opinions they don't understand. Talking in circles, screaming online. Keyboard courage, borrowed spines. Yeah, power plays dressed up as peace. Same old wolves with different teeth.
Okay, we're trying it again, folks. My goodness. What a mess. I do, first of all, anybody who was usually watching on Rumble, it turns out the issue today was Rumble Studio, and so I cannot stream on Rumble today. So hope they forgive me. I will be posting this on there later, because right now I'm streaming only to YouTube. Isn't that funny? Usually at YouTube, I would be, my guess is the problem, but not this time. So, oh, all right, guys. Well, thank you for being patient. We're going to get into it today. I'm not going to waste your time with a huge opening because we have a lot to get to, but thank you for watching. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. We're going to jump right into it here in just a minute. I do want to say hey to some people, but again, for everybody watching, apologies for the technical difficulties. Just pisses me off. I'll just be honest with you. I do this all the time. I do have my way of doing things, how to get it going. It's been working really well. I have a good system. And then when it fails me, it makes me really upset. So, okay, sorry, I had to write something. But anyways, yeah, it's not fun. I don't like it. I like when things smoothly. I am also off X, so I am currently posting this in different places because of that. It sucks. It just sucks to have to do it this way. It is definitely not what I want. So I can't post. I'm not on X. I'm not on Rumble right now. I'm posting it on X. So give me 1 second here, guys. Everything's kind of off today because of this, because of these technical difficulties. All right, here we go. Let me get that over there. Okay, cool. All right, now we're good. Anyways, let me say hey to some people, and then we're going to get started. Like I said, we have a massive show today. We got to get into this whole, this massive report that was dropped by the State Department, by Marco Rubio, on all the stuff going on with the communism and their infiltration of us from Cuba. Turns out Cuba wasn't just a little broke country not doing anything off 90 miles off our coast. Nope. It turns out they're an absolute disaster, affecting us in many ways. So we're going to get into that, what it means for the broader scope of things, how this is more just insight into Trump's war against the globalists, their communist system they've been trying to take us over with. All kinds of crazy stuff. And then updates on the midterms, update on the Tate arrests, what that's doing to the whole grifter sphere, PAGA Fagistan, Podcastistan, you name it. We got updates on all kinds of wins coming out of the Trump administration, updates on immigration, all that stuff that we care about. So we're going to go into it, all of it. But yeah, round 2, we're doing it. We are live now. So let me call out some peeps so everybody can, we say hey to everybody. John, numero uno today on the second stream. The one, what to do? Pat M, J Tyrus, Vince Felice, Tammy Anderson, Sonny Danielson, Dadbod Todd, J Bone, OD Green member. We have Tom Johnson, Lil Rude, Justin Mimo, Nick Majors, one of the many, Klazda, Michael David, Doc No, Shogun, Concha Chanch, what's that? Conca de Concos. Say that 10 times fast. Carnivore Life, MFN Tango, Fernando, Nick Majors, Seth Linerode, and many, many more. Overcloth, Leslie, Cornyn, so many good people in this place. Can't hit y'all because we'd be here forever, but you guys know how it works. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you can, if you want to get my attention, please tag me so I can find you. If the tag doesn't work, you can always support the channel with a super chat. So, and those are guaranteed to be read. Oh yeah, Justin Mimo. He's Becent stuff is crazy. So we have so much to get into. Doc No with the $5 super chat says, here's a coffee to decompress. I appreciate it. The number one most infuriating thing as a streamer is when the tech fails, when the streaming doesn't work. It pisses me off. So, but I'm doing my best to be here for you guys. And I don't want to do, I don't ever want to be that person who just posts videos. I like the live show. I like the energy. I like the community in the live show. It's just better. And it's something special. And but when you're live, you are dependent upon other things working. And that is not fun. It's not fun. I want to be able to full in control of it all. And I could fully control it all if I directly uploaded videos, but then we wouldn't have these talks. We wouldn't be able to connect. I want to be able to, see you guys get angry at me. Just see you guys cheer me on. Both of those things, it's so much better to do it live. And so I appreciate that. And I appreciate your guys' patience. Doing my best. I see there's already a little choppiness again. So I don't know what's going on in the live streaming world today. I can tell you Rumble Studio was much worse, but already having issues here as well with the, YouTube as well. So I don't know what's going on. It sucks, but we're going to press on. We're going to keep on keeping on and do our best. Nick Majors, the $5 super chats for all your troubles. Thanks, man. Thank you. Okay. But all right, we're going to push forward. People would be happy if I wore a Seahawks hat, Shogun. Yeah, but here's the problem. I wouldn't be happy. I'd be looking at that ugly hat the whole time I'm streaming, and I'd be saying, "What are you doing? You sell out. Why would you do that? Why would you choose that terrible, terrible team from Seattle, where pretty much the only good thing that ever came out of Seattle was grunge?" And I'm just gonna keep going, man. I'll hit you down. Dennis says, I never get angry. I'm not always agree, but respect your opinion. I appreciate that. I do. There are people who do get angry at me, and that's okay. That's all right. It doesn't bother me. So you guys ready? Because we do have a lot to talk about today. We have so much to talk about. Not that, but this. So I do love my SF Niners. Listen, don't hate on the greatest franchise in football history. I know the Steelers have one more Super Bowl than us. I know the Patriots have one more Super Bowl than us, but you know what, guys? We have the most playoff wins. We're the best overall. And then look at this. Look, my stream is dropping frames again. It's just awesome. Good times. Let's just love, hate this whole thing today. The world seems to not want me to stream today, but I'm going to push through. I'm going to push through. I can tell you guys right now, nothing's different on my end. The PC is the same. The setup is the same. The settings are the same, just as they were yesterday when everything was hunky-dory. But today, it doesn't want to work for me for some reason. You know, we can all take our guesses. Maybe the cabal is after me. Who knows? Good times. Okay. Let's see. Rumdog says, hate to bump you out, but the Rams are winning this year, hosting at SoFi. Good luck with that. Stafford's going to break down. You guys got lucky last year that he was healthy for a full season. All says there's not one YouTuber researcher who gets everything right. Almost everything's wrong about something. That's not the point. We learn and teach each other day by day. Amen. Absolutely. Do it live. O'Reilly. You guys should see. Yeah. You know, that's the thing with live. You might get my O'Reilly rant where all of a sudden I just break down and start freaking out over everybody. Wouldn't that be epic? I think that'd be fun. You know, when he had his mustache. So good. So, Delarfin says, if it helps, I've heard the same thing from other YouTube streamers today. So I don't know if it's YouTube. I don't know if it's Rumble. I'll tell you, it was worse when I was on Rumble, when I was doing the Rumble stream as well. But, you know, we'll make do. So let's get into it, shall we? Go full O'Reilly. Not today. I'm saving that one. I'm saving it. Saving it. Okay. Shall we do this? It's the Jews. Yep. They are behind it. Candace Owens is going to tell us all about it. And 2 gig Ethernet, no problems now, or the feed. Thank you guys. It's the Jews. I love this chat. I love this community. You guys get me. You guys understand. That's how we should do it. So good. Freedom says Rubio's standing on the world stage while Vance is sitting on the View selling. Well, you know, you got to do both. The best administrations do both, and this administration is doing both. Somebody's got to sell it to the people domestically. And I'll tell you this, that Vance's overall favorability is higher than Rubio's, and his popularity in the Republican Party is higher than Rubio's too. So sorry, guys. I know you're trying to push this Rubio thing, but the fact remains, if Vance runs, it's his, especially because Rubio already said he won't do it. So we did that discussion yesterday. We're not going back. We're not going back. Not today. Let's get into it, shall we? So yesterday we had a massive drop from the State Department, and I covered it for a minute on my stream yesterday because it had just dropped. I didn't have time to get into it, but it was clearly a big deal, and they're exposing everything right now. I mean, this is on the heels of the election integrity, and I believe that the Trump administration is really trying to tell us what we are dealing with, what we are facing, and trying to pull off here is so much bigger than most of you have any clue. So now that the report's been out, people have had the time to comb through it, and it is a whopper. There is so much to get into here, but it's just more proof that what the Trump administration is doing is wiping out the globalist push, their communist system across the entire world. And that is why right now the foreign policy is just as important as the domestic, and they all tie in together. But we are going to get into this a little bit here as the war between the sovereigntists, which is President Trump and a few others globally, are versus the globalists. We're untying. We're more and more of this grand conspiracy, this grand plan all the time. Well, in this report, Department of State is posting Fox News' report on it. It says, Cuba spent decades waging a covert campaign to infiltrate the United States through espionage and ideological influence, according to a new State Department report. And here is the Fox story, which is worth going into here. It says, Cuba built covert network inside America through spies, activists, and universities, State Department alleges. Let's get into this. So Cuba spent decades waging a covert campaign to infiltrate the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the report is intended to expose what he described as Havana's decade-long campaign against the United States. Now, this is personal for Rubio, as his parents came from Cuba. He hates Cuba as a government, not the people, obviously. But this, I don't think it's any coincidence that Trump put one of the anti-communist leaders in charge of the State Department for his term, especially the more we learn about City of London, how it operates, the Fabian Society, how the globalist system infiltrates and spreads. We look at the Eurozone, the EU, what it's doing, how it's very communist, how even here in our Democratic Party, it's growing more communist by the day. This is wild. And it shows you that this whole communist push just never ended. And in fact, they were pushing harder and harder to subvert us and end our country. For more than 6 decades, the Cuban regime has been the leading sponsor of radical leftism and third worldism in the United States. Now, that is a shocking claim. Again, Cuba, we've been taught, again, how much of what we're taught is unwound over and over again. We were taught, at least I was, and most Americans were, Cuba's basically a failed state. Leave them alone. It's just a couple, it's a small island, and they screwed up. Their system's kind of falling apart. They're communist, but you know what? Whatever. It's fine. Like they can't hurt anybody. It's just Castro over his people. We don't need to get involved. Their cigars are good. All this nonsense. And in fact, what Rubio is stating here through this report is that Cuba has actually been attacking us this entire time, and the leading sponsor is the crazy part. So all that money coming through Cuba, through shadow banking, through Spain especially, as we've covered before, all this money was eventually being used to infiltrate us. This is crazy stuff. State Department's exposing the full history of Cuban espionage and subversion to our country. The American people deserve to know. Down here it says in a statement, Rodriguez called it the State Department's latest fallacy about Cuba, accused the Trump administration of manufacturing a pretext. They are very angry about this. But here's what's in the report. So it's 100 pages. Plenty of receipts in this report. Argues that Cuba's campaign reached far beyond traditional espionage. It alleges that Havana cultivated American activists, recruited spies, supported revolutionary movements, and built relationships with universities and advocacy groups as part of a long-term effort to undermine U.S. interests and spread communist ideology. This is wild. This is wild. Turns out, taking down the Soviet Union, the commies just shifted their tactics. We all kind of slowed down. We kind of took a breath, said, woo, beat the communists. And instead, they were just getting to work, doing it all over again, getting deeper and deeper entrenched, especially on the left. It says for 7 decades, Cuban regime waged a sustained campaign of subversion against us, while also helping shape generations of left-wing political movements. This is, it's amazing to me. We're now figuring out exactly why the Trump administration has put Cuba on such a, brought it back to the forefront, I should say. The report further alleges Havana spent decades cultivating ties to American revolutionary and activist groups, including the Weather Underground, Black Panthers, Black Liberation Army, and Puerto Rican militant organizations. How crazy is that? They were funding and behind the Weather Underground and Black Panthers. Oh, man. The report claims this network later expanded to include connections with Antifa, anti-ICE organizations, socialist groups, and left-wing nonprofits. Oh, like SPLC? Wow. Wild. Cuba. This is absolutely wild. Now, the good news is Cuba is so weak that as soon as we shift our hard power to it, it's going to crumble easily. Interesting timing, right? Trump, Iran, we know that was when all assets were deployed. Podcastistan, Fagosphere, everybody blew up on Trump after Iran. And we've talked about how that's the key to unwinding so much of the City of London's ties. And then while we're in Iran, we start putting the pressure on Cuba, exposing Cuba. The communists start rising up outwardly in the Democratic Party. And now we drop this report. Very interesting. And it tells me, I mean, it just, sometimes when you back up and you look at the timeline of everything, it's almost like, wow, I'm almost in awe about how much the Trump administration, how well they play this all, because this is perfect timing exposure wise, leading up to the midterms while also dismantling these globalist systems. It's amazing. Port argues Cuba's greatest success came not through military force, but through influence. Says the communist government built an international network of activists, academics, nonprofits, political organizations, continued spreading its revolutionary ideology long after the Soviet Union collapsed. There it is, like we just talked about. Port points to high-profile espionage cases, including convicted spies Victor Manuel Rocha, Ana Belén Montes, Walter Kendall Myers, and members of the WASP network. It cites former CIA counterintelligence chief James Olson, who called Cuba's intelligence service probably the most aggravating intelligence service I've ever worked against. That is crazy. That's a crazy statement. Cubans have penetrated our government. We only know the tip of the iceberg. The report also claims Cuba viewed American colleges and universities recruiting grounds. There it is, folks. Oh, send your kids to college. Everybody should go to college. Go to college. It's the only way to survive. It's the only way to have a good job. Save up everything. Go into debt for college. You have to go to college to succeed. Huh. It was all a psyop, folks. All of it was a psyop. Going back to the 50s, which is the major time when communism really grew into what it is. That ideology had really taken over. Soviet Union, China, Cuba. It all really started in the 50s. I know you can go back to the Russian Revolution, but the 50s is when it was really pervasive and really spreading. And that's when the push to college started. Isn't that crazy? Huh. You know the real reason they wanted us all in college? It was the indoctrination. The indoctrination. Pretty crazy stuff. Oh, excuse me. Identifying politically sympathetic students who could later move into influential jobs in government or the private sector. Influential jobs in government. Go to Harvard. Make your connections. Find your sympathetic people. Crazy. It suggests the partnerships between the University of Havana and dozens of U.S. universities are examples of what it describes long-term influence efforts. It revisits Cuba's ties to revolutionary movements across Latin America. It says Havana provided sanctuary to American fugitives tied to militant groups. Report names organizations including Venceramos Brigade, ICAP, National Network on Cuba, Democratic Socialists of America. There it is. There it is. That's the place, guys. That's who's now taking over the Democratic Party. There it is. Code Pink. Wow. These are the groups that have just been leading the Democrats lately, guys. And the National Lawyers Guild. Good Lord. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable stuff. Arguing they helped maintain pro-Cuba activism in the United States for decades. The report concludes Cuba evolved from a Soviet ally into what it calls the ideological capital of the modern radical left. Arguing the regime increasingly relied on espionage, political organizing, influence campaigns instead of power. Earlier this month, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Mike Waltz appeared on Fox News and warned that Cuba remains a national security threat and accused China and Russia of collecting information around U.S. military bases. The Cuban regime is not only a threat to its own people, it's a national security threat, and this administration is not going to stand for it any longer. Insane. Cuba, guys. This whole time, we were just psyoped into believing Cuba was not a big deal, and they were taking us out from the inside the whole time. Here's a little Fox News clip on the report.
All right, welcome back. Breaking today, a stunning new report out from the State Department. It details a decades-long Cuban influence campaign right here in the U.S., targeting U.S. politics. The report says Havana has been using ideological networks and organizations there to advance its agenda 90 miles away off the coast of Florida and undermine Western ideals. Secretary of State Marco Rubio calls Cuba, quote, the leading sponsor of radical leftism and third worldism. in the U.S. So let's bring in Tommy Pigott. He's spokesperson for the Department of State. Tommy, this caught our eye from this report here at Fox News. Take a look. These are just some of the organizations implicated in this Cuban influence campaign, all of them American groups. Code Pink, ICAP, the People's Forum, Democratic Socialists of America, National Lawyers Guild, National Network on Cuba. It's one thing to say that the Cuban regime poses a national security threat to the United States, something you and the secretary say all the time. It is another to say they're actually interfering or trying to interfere in the U.S. political system.
Well, the National Network on Cuba, for example, issued a rapid response plan calling for agitation and resistance, publishing the location of ICE facilities, of military installations. That gives one powerful example of this network. We also see from Cuban-linked groups, we're seeing fomentation of protests and other violent activity. And then we see other Cuban-linked groups then bail those that are in jail for violent activity, bail them out of prison to release them back onto American streets. This report details a decades-long influence and espionage campaign that continues to this day and really is an untold story. It's a story where we hear bits and pieces here and there, but presents this as the network that it is, linked to the Cuban regime, both ideologically through logistical support and as the nexus, the node of a network of far-left extremism that is undermining the security of the United States of America.
Think about the timing on this. You know, the Trump administration's had this for a bit. Everything's timed. It's not like this just came out, like they just figured all this out. But you notice how the Trump administration waited until the DSA had taken over several aspects of the Democratic Party, several areas like New York and parts of Colorado, et cetera, et cetera. They waited for those primaries to happen so that they could have a target. Why was Trump so excited when he finally had communists to point at as the enemy leading into the midterms? It's exposure time. It's time to let them show themselves. Notice Code Pink is on there. Hey, you guys want to remember who funded Code Pink? I'm sorry. Who was funded along with Code Pink that the same people were giving to Code Pink? Oh yeah, Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie was getting money from the same people who gave to Code Pink and the squad. Wow, it really starting to make sense, doesn't it? It's really starting to make sense. This is crazy. This also makes sense why people like Hassan Piker and other groups went to Cuba out of, honestly, I think they set themselves up for major FARA violations, which we'll see eventually. That's why Hassan was freaking out the other day. But again, Trump administration hasn't gone for it yet. Are they waiting? Perfect timing? Again, this stuff is just nuts. Here's a big takeaway from State Department's amazing Cuba report tucked in a footnote. Soon after Fidel Castro's rise to power in 1959, Director of Central Intelligence CIA, basically. Director of CIA Alan Dulles told a secret Senate briefing that Castro did not have communist leanings. Really? Was they covering? Stuff's crazy, man. Spencer Pratt says, don't say I didn't warn you to this. One of the many explosive revelations in the new State Department report is the Venceramos Brigade, which has brought 10,000 plus American left-wing activists to Cuba, including Karen Bass, was built and run by actual Cuban spies. What? Karen Bass, the current mayor of LA and on track to win again. Absolutely fascinating stuff. This is crazy. This is the beginning of the end for them, guys. It's all coming out. This means that if we take out Cuba, we end much of the subversion of America. This is what this means, because this is where they were doing it from. Wild. Nobody knew. For years and years and years, we didn't know. We just thought Cuba's failed state. Don't worry about them. They can't harm us. This is why no president ever did anything against them. Obama, Bush, Clinton, Bush, even Reagan? No, I'll forgive Reagan. Let's just say he was focused on the Soviet Union. But still, it's Cuba. Would it have been that hard? I don't know. This goes back since the 59, though, the revolution. Here's Matt Whitlock breaking down some of this.
To the State Department. Today, they published a bombshell report outlining how Cuba, I've known a lot about this, but the fact that it's inside this official report from Secretary of State Marco Rubio is really important. Cuba has spent decades infiltrating the United States. They've sponsored more than 50 groups linked to the national network on Cuba, including the DSA, Communist Party USA, Code Pink. You spend a lot of time tracking these groups and their influence from foreign actors who are adversaries of the United States. What are your thoughts about that report and your kind of top lines of what they found?
For one thing, I think it's so valuable to be able to pull these strings. I'm so glad that the State Department has created this direct line between the communist government of Cuba and left-wing activity in America. We've seen it from China. We've seen it from the Chinese Communist Party. We've seen it now from Cuba. And it's also important to understand that connection there. The fact that Cuba has given harbor to our adversaries like Iran, China, and Russia to then impact the United States. It's why President Trump has made so much of his foreign policy about protecting our hemisphere from letting those threats get inside. And I hope the State Department and the rest of the Trump administration will continue to identify those foreign funding threats that are working against our interests here at home. And there's a lot more to come on that, both from the State Department and from a number of other major reports coming this week that I think will be incredibly valuable.
Mm-hmm.
More reports coming this week? Please tell me more. Tell me more. I'm in. I'm so in. Here it is. Rubio put out a report ties the launch of Obama and the mainstream of Marxist politics to the propagated by the Cuban regime, like the Weather Underground. But yeah, let's talk about Obama a little bit, shall we? Shall we talk about how this fed into Obama? Here's a little call on Obama back in 2016.
As President Obama has said, he wants to fundamentally transform America. Well, what is it? Well, let me tell you. It's un-American, it's anti-Western, but pro-Islam, pro-Iranian, and pro-Muslim Brotherhood. You have to ask yourself, why would an American president embrace the Muslim Brotherhood, whose creed is to destroy us from within with our own miserable hands and replace our Constitution with draconian Sharia law? You got it right. Now, hey, I'm always holding back.
Why is there always the tie between communism and radical Islam, the Muslim Brotherhood, the Sharia law? It all goes back to City of London. These are systems they've pushed. Now, don't get me wrong, Islam if devoutly followed has been radical since its inception, but it's been used by City of London and all these Arab states to push this whole Sharia law thing, which has very close connections and contrast to in comparison to communism. They use it all. And this is Obama was pushing the socialist ideals to get us to that communist Sharia law. Here's Obama in a picture recently. Well, not that recently, but you think he knew exactly who he's standing in front of? Che Guevara in the background? Obama was always showing us who he was if you're willing to look. But he goes back. I mean, this is all pushed. The CIA was directly working with the Cuban government on a lot of this. This is the report. It goes deeper and deeper. You look at Alan Dulles and the CIA connections to Cuba. Listen to Colonel Watkins, how she breaks it down. It's fascinating stuff. They thought they could control it. They thought they could use it, which brings it back to the intelligence agencies again, especially in their inception. MI6 helped create CIA. MI6 created Mossad. It goes one after the other. Trump, I believe, has good people in front of those intelligence agencies now and is reforming them, firing the baddies. It's going to take time to purge it all. I can guarantee you at this point, we're not led by them. However, they were subverting us for a very long time. including one of the biggest reasons I think Reagan's presidency, the more we look back, the further we get away from it, had a lot of issues. Who did they install as his vice president? Oh, the former head of the CIA, George H.W. Bush. Crazy stuff. The more we unpack, the wilder it gets, doesn't it? This is insane. But this Cuba thing is going to unlock a lot, and just as Iran did. And here's a good breakdown. Bad week for third worldists. China and Iran got exposed as interfering in American elections. Now we have the dossier on Cuba's attempts to subvert and overthrow the U.S. This just tells you they all had uses by City of London, because there's certain ties in all these. Now, China is the one that is the hardest to tie to City of London. However, if the reports are true that Xi is purging a lot of the corruption in his government right now, then it's very possible that China has infiltration as well. We don't know. We're going to learn. But China and Iran did get exposed as interfering in our elections, and Cuba's attempts to subvert and overthrow, they are the primary supporters of leftist domestic terrorism, from Weather Underground to BLM and Antifa. Since the 60s, regime has served as a beating heart of a new and distinct kind of Marxism, forged around overriding resentment and fundamental hatred of the U.S. and the broader West. Today, that network continues to maintain ties to powerful leftist nonprofits, anti-IS collectives, socialist groups, and Marxist militant organizations. Cubans always seen Revolution America as an end unto itself. Its true target, always above other momentary enemy, has always been the United States. And here's part of the report right here where he's pulling from. Here's an excellent little breakdown. Cuba was never acting alone. Havana functioned as the Western Hemisphere command node inside a much larger global architecture. Moscow supplied strategic depth, intelligence, tradecraft, and military alignment, especially in the beginning. Beijing supplied technology, surveillance, communications infrastructure, and geopolitical protection. Tehran expanded the militant and energy and sanctions evasion corridors. Caracas supplied oil, territory, state infrastructure, and regional sustainment. Then the City of London supplied a central layer, the financial circuitry. Global networks don't survive on ideology and intelligence alone. They require capital routing, offshore structures, legal shielding, banking access, insurance, trade finance, and institutional protection capable of moving power across borders while separating the money from the mission. This is how City of London controlled all of it, by controlling the capital and pushing all this. They want it, like City of London, they're not ideological. They just want control. They want to get richer. They want to ruin anything that stands in that way, which has been the United States. That's where the architecture becomes complete. Cuba trains, recruits, penetrates, organizes. Venezuela resources and sustains, except not anymore. Russia and China reinforce, coordinate, and protect until Trump said, stop it. We're seeing that right now. China is getting pushed out between what the way Trump's working with them. And Russia, I believe, since the first Trump administration, fully came over to Trump's side. I do. Doesn't mean they're never going to disagree. Doesn't mean they're, good people. It does mean I think Putin's goal has always been sovereignty and the end of the globalists, number one. And by doing that, once Trump was able to prove we're no longer a part of them, we're fighting back, I think Putin was the first to come over. And that's why Trump and Putin have gotten along relatively well since then. And Russia, really, we haven't caught Russia hurting us in any major way since then. Iran extends the illicit militant access, while City of London represents transnational financial layer through which wealth, influence, and operational continuity can be preserved behind the appearance of legitimate commerce. Then the system reaches inward through intelligence assets, diplomatic channels, universities, media, NGOs, activist fronts, political movements, corporate structures, and institutional access ports. Do you guys understand how deep it all goes? Like the way that we have been just subverted for so long, the layers on layers. Onions have layers, Shrek. Well, we have layers. Marxism has layers. The infiltration of America has layers. And this is why, in my opinion, one of the main reasons that Trump, people are so confused by what Trump does and how he acts, especially people who are just good people who voted for Trump, who expected certain things and don't understand why he's doing things they didn't vote for. They don't understand. He's approaching it from different areas instead of focusing. Now, while he is accomplishing almost everything they voted for, and we'll talk more about that later, as we often do here, those aren't the things getting the most news, because what he's doing in these other areas, the media, the intelligence agencies, the City of London co-opted people want to focus on the areas that will confuse the people. I just experienced this in my trip to Texas, where there were wonderful, good people I know, long-term friends of mine, who have been completely deceived by the media's reporting on things like Iran, how Trump is dealing with NATO. And they're like, what is he doing? They think Trump's gone crazy. Instead, the truth is what Trump's actually undoing something much deeper and sinister and detrimental to our society than most of us ever had any clue. We knew there was a deep state. We knew that they had control of certain politicians and so on and so forth. We knew they spread through colleges, some NGOs, stuff like that. But we had no idea how much of it was co-opted by them. We had no idea how coordinated it all was. We're finding out that it goes so incredibly deep. And so they're fighting at every single opportunity to confuse the people, throw us off track, convince us that Trump's a failure, convince us Trump's become one of them. That's one of my favorite psyops. It's like, what? How? I don't know how anybody logically can get there, but some people do believe that. It's crazy, but this is why, because they've infiltrated so much of this. You have to dig to find truth. We're fortunate right now because Trump got back in charge, and now we can do stuff like this show. I can speak. Tom Luongo can speak now without getting banned. Crypto Rich is, who is now Rich Does Politics. His channel no longer has to survive just on Rumble. We're able to get the word out a little bit more. But there was a reason this kind of content was not allowed on YouTube during the Biden administration and before. I couldn't have talked about this. My channel would have been shut down. How do I know that? Because many's were. And now we're back. And now they're not. And that tells you a little bit of how we're gaining control back. Foreign directed pressure is converted into domestic agitation. Get the people frustrated. Get them upset. Get them black-pilled. How do you get frustrated? You become black-pilled. You feel hopeless. This is why I always say the number one way to spot a psyop is it is black-pilling. It is creating hopelessness. It is leading you to the point of frustration where the only thing you do is either completely check out or you fight in ways that aren't helpful. That's what they do. Imported ideology is made to appear organic, and a coordinated international system begins operating on the illusion of disconnected local movements. Yeah, it's all organic, folks. It's grassroots. These are grassroots people. They're coming out. They just want to, they just believe in something. They just, they're just frustrated people looking to change the world. DSA, Democratic Socialists of America, all they want to do is build a community to, keep going. It's all organic. Cuba was a regional relay. Moscow and Beijing supplied strategic power. Toronto, Caracas, or operational corridor. City of London supplied financial reach and insulation. Domestic assets opened the doors from the inside. Obama, Clinton, Biden. You guys remember when the Clintons got caught selling our secrets to China? Yeah, that's a real story. Obama, pallets of cash to Iran, opening up the doors for Iran to build the nuke. The Arab Spring, celebrating it as the Muslim Brotherhood swept through all these Arab countries. Yeah, all on purpose, opening the doors. State Department is not merely exposing an island, it's identifying one commando inside a transnational system built to weaken American sovereignty, fracture social cohesion, penetrate institutions, redirect the nation through pressure applied from outside and inside. Here's a nice little graph of where we're at. Now, this has been happening in so many ways, and I've called out Steve Bannon several times, but here's a good reminder from his talks with Epstein back in through 2016 through 2019. Xi has a way, this is talking about China. Here's the text right here from Bannon to Epstein. President Xi has a new way to govern, so he will convince the world the U.S. model does not work. A new form of government for the future. And she writes, do you really think this demoralization op is organic? Concentrated outrage over flock and data centers while simultaneously ignoring Chinese tech? Yeah. They want to get us to that new system. The question is Xi on board with just letting China remain sovereign? And China is a big question in all this. I totally acknowledge that. We don't know quite where we're at because we get a lot of confusing signals. The way Trump treats China versus what we know China's done to our nation. So there's a lot of questions there. But it's pretty clear Bannon celebrating this new world order that would have been this techno-communism world. Here's a great article from Blaine Holt. It's shared by Tom Luongo called The All or Nothing War, Sovereigntists versus Globalists. I'll allow you guys the time to go into it. I don't have time to go through it bit by bit today, but I will say that I wanted to share it by the title. This is our war right now. This is what Trump is actually doing. See, Trump is a sovereigntist, and you notice every move he makes is setting people up to be free of the globalists. See, the globalists are our number one enemy. This is the system created and coming out of City of London and the EU. The great lie we've all been living under for a long time is that Europe is our best friend. It's not. It's our original enemy, especially the UK British Empire. They are our original enemy. They were the ones trying to take us back over in 1812, who supported the Confederacy during the Civil War, while Russia, interestingly enough, was helping us break free. They are the ones behind the modern EU system, the globalist agenda, climate change, so on and so forth, ways of controlling us through our capital, treaties meant to ruin our country, keeping NATO going when there was no more Soviet Union. The globalist system with proxies in India, Iran. How do we know? We can constantly track all of it to the UK, all of it to City of London. Israel, created by City of London. Mossad, created by MI6. Canada, still a Commonwealth nation. Australia, New Zealand, making 4 parts along with Britain and US of the Five Eyes, who created Russia to get rid of Trump. The more you look, the more you dig, it all comes back to City of London. It's the globalists. And it doesn't mean we haven't had other enemies. Soviet Union was an enemy. China has been an enemy. These are all true. Doesn't undo any of it. But there's a reason Trump is coordinating with countries like Russia now and China against these guys. Because once you end this and we all get back to this, whether they're good countries or not, as long as they're sovereign and we're not integrated through this way, we all can figure out how to get along peacefully. And hopefully at that point, as the world improves technologically, economically, people get out of poverty, you start not wanting that hardcore authoritarianism as much as the regular people get wealthier. See, the middle class in America is one of the greatest things that's ever happened in world history, because all of a sudden average people could make good livings. All of a sudden average people could be independent. They could run their own lives, own their own homes, own their own property. The middle class is what powers America. And you bring a middle class to the rest of the world, it makes authoritarianism almost impossible. That's what Trump's hope is. And it doesn't mean we'll get everywhere. It doesn't mean everywhere will always get better. But Trump's proving this. And right now, you want to believe, look to the Middle East. Several countries in the Middle East have been freed of all this nonsense. And what's happened? Well, they join the Abraham Accords. There gets more peace in the Middle East. They start working with us to destroy places like Iran's IRGC, the bully and They're working with us now, not against us. Why? Because Trump is pushing sovereignty. He's not looking to control them. There's a reason why we don't have boots on the ground. This is changing everything, folks. And if you want to see all the places right now, other than, say, China, but all the other places that are most authoritarian on their people right now, it's all the globalist system countries where socialism is accepted, technocracy is accepted. It is the way of their life. And then what happened? All these people who have been going through living this horrible existence where they have no freedom, they're taxed out of their minds. It's getting worse and worse. COVID's forced upon them. They accept it. They accept the lockdowns. UK, Australia, New Zealand, you name it, Canada. What happens when they all visit America, this great sovereign nation, for the World Cup? Oh, this is amazing. This is the greatest thing we've ever seen. Look at the abundance. That's a big wake-up call for a lot of people. Isn't it funny how it's all coming together at once? This is our great war, folks. This is our great war. Now, that brings us to Iran, where Trump is escalating things.
Hey guys, good morning. Another heavy night of U.S. strikes against Iran. This was the 10th consecutive night aimed at degrading Iran's ability to threaten vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, CENTCOM released a statement about these strikes and their activity in the region, saying since early May, CENTCOM forces have helped facilitate the transit of approximately 900 commercial vessels and 450 million barrels of crude oil. They went on to say American forces remain postured and prepared to hold Iran accountable for unwarranted aggression towards civilian mariners seeking to freely and openly transit the strait. Early this morning, Iran attacked another tanker off the coast of Oman, forcing the crew to evacuate the vessel, according to maritime tracking groups. This does come after President Trump issued a new warning to the regime about killing American forces in the Middle East. The commander-in-chief said every time Iran kills an American soldier, they will pay for that killing many times over. Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson was asked this week about the possibility of U.S. forces entering Iran. This was his response.
They will face the consequences. I believe there are people in those very areas, and they are not few in number, who are counting the moments until they can welcome them.
The comments come as the Wall Street Journal reports that Iran moved nuclear centrifuges into Pickaxe Mountain, an underground facility next to the Natanz nuclear site. The report, based on Israeli intelligence, is the latest to focus on this site. President Trump indicated last week he is considering new strikes against the facility. We're also tracking developments with the Houthis in Yemen, one of Iran's largest proxies in the region. The Houthis say they are implementing a naval blockade on Saudi Arabia. Guys?
Hey, Trey, what would
Why the escalation in Iran? Well, Iran has been the center for destabilizing the Middle East. It's been what the City of London has used to control oil and shipping prices, manipulate the markets for decades. In fact, $2 trillion is what City of London has pulled in from all this over the last 25 years. You think they're making some cash? But also it gave them the ability to start wars anytime they wanted. Again, Trump using Iran to expose all of this. And now it's ramping up. It's time to end this, because once you unlock Iran, once you make it a sovereign nation again, by hopefully the people taking it back over, which we're getting several reports that that's close, or by just limiting its leverage in so many ways they can't harm anybody. They just become their own little bubble state. By doing either of those, you unlock the rest of the Middle East. And also weakening China. Here's Bassett on the latest on the oil.
Iranian oil, the Chinese in general, because of the prices and because they have a very large strategic petroleum reserve, have dropped their purchases of crude over the past few months by about 40%, and that's directly pressuring the Iranian regime. And we put the blockade back, and I tell you, the blockade is powerful financially, but I think it's also very powerful psychologically. It cuts Iran off from the rest of the world, and we also have the ability to interdict the Iranian dark fleet once they are out in the Pacific.
Yeah, that's incredible. We're going to be watching all of that. Secretary, I want to move on to AI.
This is severely weakening both Iran and China. Now China's economy is going backwards, and they are forced to buy oil from us. No longer getting that cheap oil from Iran. Now, here's a very interesting post. This is from Ida Turan, who I quote a lot on the Iranian situation, being that he is Iranian, I should say, and has connections there. And he says, everyone raging at Trump's moves on Iran, calling Iran a weaker, proof he has no plan. I get the anger. Ceasefire MOU pauses. They look confusing, even contradictory, especially if you want the regime gone yesterday. But here's the truth most people miss. This isn't a simple game. It's multi-dimensional chess on a board most observers only see one corner of. Islamic Republic isn't a normal adversary. It's a suicidal hostage taker with proxies, lifelines from Russia, China, Europe, Gulf states, deep domestic infiltration, 90 million Iranian lives as its ultimate shield. One reckless move can turn victory into regional chaos and mass slaughter. Trump isn't playing checkers or delivering instant checkmate. He's systematically neutralizing pieces, sanctions, diplomacy, military pressure, narrative warfare, and internal fractures while managing American politics, oil markets, and the risk of total collapse that could hurt the very people he wants to free. He says he breaks it down below, which we're not going to go through the whole thing. He isn't stumbling. He's playing the long game against an enemy that spent 47 years rigging the board. What looks like weakness is often calculated patience. Here's what I want to talk about. Iran's a suicidal hostage taker with proxies, lifelines from Russia, China, Europe, and the Gulf states. Well, Russia, cross them out. Trump's taken them off the board in this, and they're operating independently now. China, that's one I think Trump is working on right now and getting closer. These, we've already seen. They're turning against Iran. This was the first one. What was the first thing Trump did in 2017? Went to Saudi Arabia when he came in, and they cleansed their government, put several of the princes on corruption charges and busted them for trafficking. That was one of the first things Trump did. And that leaves us here, Europe, which also has the deepest ties to Cuba, which has been exposed. You see, it's all connected, guys, all connected. Russia, as the Soviet Union, helped create Cuba. China, funding, setting up Cuba. Europe, currently funding Cuba. You see how one by one he's knocking off all this access that at one point was our enemy, that at one point was using places like Venezuela and Iran, Cuba, to infiltrate us, to hurt us while also looking out for their own interests. But the ones interested in sovereignty, Russia, maybe China, the Gulf states, they're pulling off quicker as Trump's spreading all this. Europe's the one deeply embedded and holding on. And again, it's because of that City of London system. This is where we're at, folks. This drop on Cuba is massive, and it is exposing so much. Coming all the way back to this is where we're at. We're in a new place. The communists was their system for trying to overthrow our country. It goes back, you look at the Fabian Society coming out of, yes, UK. It is exactly their methods which were being employed by Cuba here and our American left. Trump, right now, this is why this midterms is shaping up to be the final blow domestically. Because, yeah, they're going to run into 28 and they're going to run. The Democratic Party isn't going away yet. But we are going to be talking about soon how it is getting weaker and weaker by the moment. But I'm not going away yet. But if this midterms, as they have risen and getting more outward about who they are, this is a direct repudiation opportunity of the communist left that has subverted our nation. And if they lose this midterms, it's a death blow for them. They will be scrambling for a long time going forward because 2028 already looks terrible for them, even if they won the House. But if they lose it, we haven't even begun to hear the wailing and crying and freaking out from the left that is possible to happen if they lose this midterms. So Trump putting it all in order. And if you can, I hope at this point you can kind of see how all this ties together. All right, guys, hit that like and subscribe. We got so much more to talk about coming up, but I do want to get into the chat and connect with you guys over questions, comments. Super chat from Johnny Inoosa says, Trump is killing the infection from the bone to the skin. Absolutely. I love it. That's 100% accurate. And that is why it's so confusing for some people, because it goes so much deeper than they ever expected. So that, as we just discussed. All right. Let's see here. Did we have some trolls, Nick? Did you have to cut out some of them? Violence of Poetry says, Rush said his job was to remind us that we are not alone. We are not the only ones who believe what we believe. Propaganda is meant to demoralize, not convince. Exactly. And that's why Rush was always positive, and why I try to be always positive as well. Foundation Preacher with a $2 super chat says, Cuba wasn't a failed state, but a multi-generational op. 100%, as this report proves. Janet with a $5 super chat says, Trump was having a live from the White House, confirmed he addressed the election interference with Xi early in 25. Interesting. And see, that is one of the big pushbacks right now on Trump. And what he did on Thursday is that, well, why isn't he sanctioning China? Why isn't he doing anything about China if there's such... Well, if it was taken care of behind the scenes. Yeah. So, Trump is all about leverage and deal making. So, all right. Let me check a couple other things here. And anybody else? Questions, comments, guys, please tag me so I can see what you're saying. All right. Towards me so I can directly address it. And again, if you want to support the channel, super chats are guaranteed to be read and answered. Looks like we did have a troll blocked. Lady Nick. Sorry. I don't know if I said the rules at the beginning, but guys, remember, please be respectful in the chat. We do welcome disagreement. I will answer your questions, even if you're disagreeing with me. But I do ask you respectful about it. And honestly, if you really have a disagreement, please bring receipts. Don't just make an emotional argument, or I will mock you, because that's part of what I do, because I don't allow, or I don't like to entertain nonsense arguments, and emotional arguments are nonsense. If you want a real argument, please bring receipts, because as you can see just by this last segment, everything I do at least has receipts. You don't have to accept them, but you have to at least acknowledge that I bring stuff to show. And so, but again, as always, questions, comments. This community is the greatest community on YouTube. They are wonderful to talk to. Please get in the chat. Enjoy hanging out with them all. These people are great. Conversations are great. It's even better in the members Discord, which you can get into by clicking in the description, clicking that link to the Discord through Patreon. Get a free month to try it out along with members' lives. But if this is enough for you, that's fine. Be a part of it. Hit that like, guys. Hit that subscribe, and I would appreciate that. What the Fluff says, new sub. Trump not only plays chess, but dominoes on the side. I like that. That's clever. That's clever. Thoughts on Lebanon? Well, I think Lebanon, the country itself, the actual government of that country is trying to do what a lot of the other Gulf state countries has done, is become a sovereign nation that is, running itself and not getting into wars with people. The problem is they are infiltrated by Hezbollah, and Hezbollah has a major stake of land and influence in their country. And I don't know if Lebanon as a country is strong enough to get rid of Hezbollah, at least as Hezbollah currently is. And that's why Israel is having so many problems with them. But I think Trump has been pretty clear that Trump's been pretty clear that Lebanon is somebody he's trying to work with. So, Fox is not trustworthy, but some guests are patriots. Here's the thing, guys. Fox News is not trustworthy from a commentary standpoint. I agree with that. I don't trust Rupert Murdoch at all. But I will say that they have a decent hard news division that when they're just presenting news that has come out, they do a semi-decent job. And their guests, their clips, often they will put stuff out that other places will not. And they don't spin a lot of their guests. So why do I use Fox as a source? Well, I don't always. And you guys well know that. In this particular segment I did because there was a couple good guests on and they did a really good job covering the Cuba story. But again, I don't trust Fox News. However, I recognize where their strengths are. And in those areas I will use them when it's appropriate. Janice says rumors are Schumer will shut down the Senate before midterm. Do you think it will have a negative effect on the coming elections? It could backfire on them. It could. They are stupid. They are desperate. It'll be their third shutdown a year. People will get tired of it. They definitely lost the last one. So, Rubio wants to go into Lebanon and help them fight proxies. Interesting. The Shadow Court, the ATRC, have I spoken about this yet? No, I haven't deep dived that yet. So, what am I drinking? Just sparkling water? Lime flavored sparkling water. Okay. I'm going to get into it, guys. All right. We're going to get into the next segment because, again, I got lots. This is a big show today. We have a lot to talk to. Even, as you saw that huge segment I just did, well, there's more. There's more. So again, guys, if you want to get my attention in between segments where I stop in the chat, hit, please, again, tag me to get my attention so I can find it. And then if not, if you want to support the channel, you can always send a super chat and those will be guaranteed to be read and talked to. This is a viewer supported channel. I always want to make that clear. This is why I'm not throwing sponsorships at you. I'm not trying to tell you to get a VPN. I'm not selling you supplements. Try my supplements, guys. I'll just, this supplement will change your life. I'm not Alex Jones. I'm not, if you take my super duper secret recipe supplement, I'm telling you, you will sleep for 22 hours a night. Wake up as refreshed as you've ever been. In your 2 hours awake, you will change the world every day. It's what I take for my supplements. Infowars.com/supplement, superdupersupplements.com. Yeah, you're never going to see that here. I'm user supported. If I ever do run any kind of sponsorship, it'll be something that I greatly trust and probably somebody I know. But other than that, yeah, it's memberships and super chats support the channel. So there you go. Just letting it all out there. Zegrim says, how do I get healthy with your supplements and stay private with a VPN? Well, let's talk about it. We'll talk about it later. All right. So thank you, Punchcat, for the Unk Alert. All right, guys, you ready? Let's get into it. So looking ahead to the midterms and where we're at now in our election, making sure we can trust the midterms and have big beliefs, because again, I continue to maintain that if the Democrats lose this midterm, see, if they win, it's not the end of the world. And why not? Well, because Trump still holds the presidency, which by holding the presidency, it means that he has the, oh, sorry guys. Did it leave that chat up? My pillow. That's not happening. Sorry guys. I just saw something weird and, trying to fix something on my stream here for a second. Anyways, what I was saying is if we lose the midterms, okay, Trump still with the presidency holds the oh my God, my brain, sorry. He's in control of foreign policy, which is obviously very important, and the DOJ. Okay. All the FBI, all that, he's in control of all of it. So he will still get a ton done. And the Senate is most likely to go Republican, which means he'll still get his nominations through, control judges, so on and so forth. So them winning the House is not the end of the world, but what it will do, it will encourage them and it will give them strength and momentum internally for the 28 election, while also showing the world again how crazy they are, so that 2028 might even be a bigger win for us. So there is, there's really huge silver linings, whether they win or lose the midterms. If we win the midterms, they will be so devastated internally. What it will do is it will encourage the communists to continue taking over their nation or their party. The commies will rise up and will keep knocking them off, which will mean general election wise, they will get less and less popular also. This is a big deal. And they will be so demoralized by the fact that Trump beat the norms of decades and decades of a president always losing their midterms. They'll be so demoralized by that it will be a crushing blow to them. And we want that. We want to have fun laughing at them for a while. So heading into the midterms, we have all kinds of stuff coming out from Trump's address last week and the drops coming that can help us know that the elections going forward have a much better chance of being shored up and legitimate. Here's from Rapid Response saying, after POTUS declassified intel on foreign election interference in the deep state cover-up, the radical left and their fake news allies immediately moved to discredit, downplay, and distract from the shocking disclosures. I wonder why. Maybe they're scared? Yeah, I think so. Fake news claim President Trump's address contained no new information, but here's the facts. Trump released a substantial body of newly declassified intelligence that has never been made public. Includes assessments confirming China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and other malign actors have the capability to compromise U.S. election infrastructure. So, guys, this is spreading. People are waking up to this, and them not wanting to show it to us is the tell. It tells us that they are in big trouble. The more this gets out there, the more people are going to distrust our elections and the Democrats, forcing the Republicans to actually do something or face major consequences. You see, many people still, even if they voted for Trump, didn't quite believe our elections were rigged. They wanted to hold on to the illusion that, no, we're fine. And to them, Trump winning in 2024 was proof that our elections are fine. Well, Trump won. I hear it all the time. Trump won. Yeah, he won by overwhelming the system so much so that they couldn't win. They couldn't even rig it. And that's the truth, because who was in charge during that time? The Biden administration. Democrats held the Senate. They were in charge, and we still won. But as this information keeps spreading, it will only wake up more people heading into the midterms, but they're fighting back. One of the reasons they're fighting back is, as Sean Davis reports here, if you want to know why the Senate hates the Save America Act, it's because senators are lazy and have zero interest in doing actual work. They believe the Senate and their own voters exist to serve them. Remember, I've told you, the Senate is the House of Lords. This is why they are a problem for us. Even the Republicans, even when we have a Republican Senate, why it's a pain in our butts. They are crappy. However, we can overcome this. He says, this is why they never work and never accomplish anything. A 3-day work week is almost unconscionable. Asking them to work 5 days in a row is literal torture. Senate's a social club, allows them to travel around the world for free and allow their spouses to buy all kinds of exotic foreign goods and bring them back without declaring them or paying taxes on them. And when voters start to sniff this out and get sick of it, these senators accuse a tiny handful of people in government doing actual work of being AWOL. All true. Also, what Sean doesn't get into here, because Sean is a kind of establishment. He's a co-founder of the Federalist. He's up in Washington, D.C. He's buddy with all them. What he's not saying is also that they are co-opted and they have reason to be lazy. They are rewarded for being lazy. Excuse my dogs. My family will get to them in a second. That's all why this is happening. And then we get to the staffers. John Conrad says, a very senior intelligence officer in Europe once told me his team spent more time processing congressional travel requests than analyzing the war in Ukraine. That's a nice little tell right there, right? Pretty crazy. Here's Alyssa Slotkin, though. And this is a great tell on why she continues to show us why they don't want us to get the Save America Act through. They know, because it's not only Democrats who will suffer from it. It's Republicans. Rhino Republicans, which is why we can't get them to overturn the filibuster and get it done. But here's Alyssa Slotkin, a little more of her panic over the Save America Act.
He has sued for our voter rolls in Michigan, along with 29 other states. He's tried to change the rules of the post office so that the post office has to approve any ballot that is mailed through the Postal Service. He's tried to pass a piece of legislation, the SAVE Act, that would make it much harder for many people to vote. He has sued.
This chick is CIA. She ran for the Democrats in Michigan, snuck through, maybe because of rigging in Michigan. There's some crazy stuff there. She herself probably got through because of the something like the Save America Act not being there. She knows it. We have her on tape the other day saying if this gets passed, Democrats would almost never win elections. They're telling you. They're telling you. Why do they have Slotkin out there doing it? Because she is one of their plants for the long term. Because she's CIA. They can completely co-opt her, control her, and she's trained in how to speak, subvert, get you off track. She's trained in all that. So is Spanberger, the current governor of Virginia, who came in as a moderate and within her first few weeks implemented one of the most liberal leftist agendas we've ever seen a governor do. Passed through 50 plus new taxes, all kinds of regulations, many of which are being fought in court right now. But that's who these people are. Listen to them when they're panicking. Listen to them when they are going after something. They do not want Trump to shore up the elections because then they lose control. They're terrified of that. And Slotkin is one of the biggest ones to look at as far as a tell. But another place to look is people like Keith Ellison, who this guy does not care if you know what they're doing or not. Listen to this.
There's a whole lot of people who were not 18 years old in the last election. There's a whole lot of people who were not naturalized citizens in the last election. There's a whole lot of people who sat it out because of whatever reason in the last election. But you know what? We're going to get them all this election. And so let me tell you, I used to be the congressperson for the 5th Congressional District. And when I decided to leave that job and become your attorney general, and thank you for that, by the way, there's a
whole lot of non-naturalized citizens. We're going to get them this election. That's a crazy thing to say, isn't it? This is the man who is the attorney general of Minnesota. He is hardcore connections to Muslim Brotherhood, etc., etc. The guy is as City of London as it gets. Minnesota is one of the worst states as far as the Democratic Party that's taken over that state. It is far gone. There's a reason why all the Somali fraud was over there. Not all of it, but a good portion of it, and why it was so easy to find there, because it was so obvious. Tim Walz, one of the most corrupt politicians in America, their governor, just pardoned a guy raping a 10-year-old. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. It is crazy. But Ellison's telling you what they're going for. When he says citizens that aren't naturalized, we know what he actually means. Illegals. We're going to get them all. We're pushing them through. Listen to them when they tell you who they are. But there is backfiring going on in the Democratic Party. Listen to this.
And so let me tell you, I used to be the congressperson for the 5th Congressional District. And when I decided to leave that job and become your attorney general, and thank you for that, by the way, I worried, are we going to have somebody who is absolutely take no shit from anybody get into that job? Are we going to have somebody who Thank you. You know what? Let us. You come on, guys. Okay, I got you, brother. We're gonna let them have their moment. Thank you, guys. Hey, look. Let me tell you.
The commies are taking over their party. And even someone like Ellison is not radical enough for them. This is terrible for them, folks. This is terrible for them. They are freaking out about all this. This is not going well. It's not going well. The Democratic Party is starting to collapse on its own merits internally. You see like this, Van Jones. Listen to where he's at right now. Remember, this was Obama's green czar in charge of the climate policy for the Obama administration. He is lefty. And this is where he's at with the rise of the DSA commies in their party.
This phone has been blowing up all day. Governors from both parties, senators from both parties, Democrats in the House calling, thanking me for saying what everybody's been saying behind the scenes, which is that this stuff is going too far. I am a progressive Democrat. You want to talk about prison reform? I've done it as well as anybody, Republican Democrats in the South with Trump. I've done prison reform. I never said have no prisons. Where are you going to put the Klan? I've done police reform. I never said no police. Where are you going to put the pedophiles? Who's going to grab the pedophiles? This stuff is going too far. And part of the thing that has to happen is we saw what happened in the Republican Party when things started going in a nutty direction and nobody stood up. I am happy that the young people are fighting for affordability, Medicare for all the good things. I've been waiting my whole life to see a youth movement do what it's doing. But it's being hijacked by people who are putting in nutty ideas supporting terrorists, nutty ideas saying that we don't need cops in prison. We can't deport anybody even if they rape somebody. Who said this? Chevalier. Where did Chevalier?
Chevalier is going to be is yes. The Democratic nominee. Sorry, DSA nominee for Congress now from the Bronx.
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty telling. Let's listen to what he said at the very beginning one more time.
This phone has been blowing up all day. Governors from both parties, senators from both parties, Democrats in the House calling, thanking me for saying what everybody's been saying behind the scenes, which is that this phone
is blowing up. Congressmen, governors, telling them it's gone too far. Guys, that is panic. Van Jones is letting you know the the establishment Democrats have lost control. They don't know what's happening. They don't know how to stop it. They're watching as their poll numbers are tanking. They're watching as these people are coming in, telling the truth about who they are, and they say, that's not how we win. We win by lying. You cannot tell the truth. This is going very, very poorly for them. And we have Van Jones. See, there are some people on the Democratic side who they're smart, even though I think they're crazy in what they vote, but they understand. See, the Obama coalition, his team knew how to win elections. Carville knew how to win elections with Clinton. They knew how to get in, lie to the people, and take over. Subversion. You can't be overt. Van Jones was part of that Obama group. He understands that this is horrible for them. This is why Carville are freaking out right now. And they have every reason to be. None of the last 6 polls in the RCP average are higher than D+4. Guys, that is red flag for red flag because of the Republican foundational what's the word I'm looking for? Because the Republicans have a one-up in this. Democrats need to be D+5 or more to know they're going to win the House. That's how much the institutional benefit is for Republicans thanks to redistricting and other things. More rural counties versus more concentrated counties, that stuff like that. So the Republicans have a built-in advantage. Democrats need to be D+5 or higher right now to win the House. And none of the last 6 polls in the RCP average are higher than that. That's full-on panic time. As Keschel says, have you noticed the MSM beginning to hedge on the 26 midterms long before the usual Labor Day threshold? Yeah. You don't start hedging till the election gets close. Till it's only a month and a half away. They're already doing it. The hedging has begun in July. Guys, the MSM, mainstream media, lies to you every day. But just like polls, a specific lie isn't where you look. You look at the trends. The trends are what tell you the truth. And the trend in the media right now is, oh, we're hedging our bets. That means they know what's coming. They know what's coming. And it's because of stuff like this as well. Polls are tight, and yet the Republicans have way more money coming as well. Pro-Trump PAC MAGA Inc. builds $400 million war chest ahead of the midterms, reportedly the largest ever for a non-presidential election year. Hey, I thought MAGA hated Trump. I thought we were abandoning him. I thought we weren't supporting him anymore. But his super PAC is the largest ever for a non-presidential election year. Come on, folks. Don't believe what they tell you. Believe what the data says. Here, speaking of hedging, here's the latest on a analysis.
105 days
Fox
ago,
News.
still primaries underway in different parts of the country, especially on the Senate side. But the 16 toss-ups that you see right here in the middle, more on the House side for Republicans than on the Democratic side. But we see at the moment 16 toss-ups with the House on the line. For the Democrats to have a good night, here is what they need to do. They could have 227 seats the way we see it right now. For Republicans, not out of the game. A good night for Republicans would be 224. Simple majority right now is 218. That's a very slim margin right now for Republicans as they hold the majority in the House today. So then with the power rankings on the House, there is a critical issue that must be considered from now until election night. And when you're watching us on election night, keep this in mind. Let's swing on over here. What has happened over the past 2 years when it comes to redistricting could have a significant impact on the majority in the House. I'll show you why, all right? These are all the states that got in on the fun to redistrict and redraw the lines. This is your key, okay? For the red team, these are the states that are in place. For the blue team, these are the states that are...
That's about as hedging as you can get, okay? 50-50. But look at this. Even they have, so most places now, by the way, Fox News polls are traditionally awful, just like you know. But Fox News currently has 211 safe Democrats versus 208 with the 16 toss-ups. Now, Republicans only have to win based on this math, okay? Remember that, based on this math. They have to win 10 of the 16 toss-ups. Fox News is the only one that has the Democrats having more safe seats than Republicans. But this is the ultimate hedge right here. Just, oh, hey, it can go either way. They're not pushing it one way or the other. So again, Fox News is not our friend. By Fox News hedging, they're telling you where they want to be. Remember, Fox News is the one who called or refused to call Arizona for Trump when it was obviously going to Trump, held off for hours and hours until it could be stolen. Fox News did that. That was Bret Baier on the decision desk that night. Fox News is not our friend, folks. So by them hedging like this, it's telling you they're not willing to go all in on the Dems, which means it's much more likely Republicans have the edge. And so follow this, follow the trends, because as this keeps going, as the Democrats keep getting eaten up by the DSA, the commies come out more and more. Trump's dropping the reports on the communist infiltration from Cuba. We're calling them outwardly communist now. Americans hate communists. It's going to keep spreading. And then Trump locking up the elections in all kinds of ways, election integrity, even without the Save America Act. They're making several efforts to do this. We just got the data that Trump dropped the other night on the Chinese infiltration of the 2020 election, working with Democrats. That has not even been fully unpacked yet. We have not seen the results of everything he dropped yet and what it's going to do as people deep dive into it, the effects. And you're telling me we're worried about the midterms? No, I don't think so. Oh yeah, and the cash advantage. It's all lining up for us. Democrats have nothing right now except for Trump bad. And I'm sorry, folks, that doesn't win you elections. So going to continue to follow this. I have no doubt that they're going to pull out more shady stuff before the election and try. But here's the thing. Think about where we're at right now. Think about how Trump survived the whole Epstein push to tie him to Epstein. He survived it, got through it, and we're still in the race. He survived the psyops about why we actually were in Iran and what Trump was doing in Iran. All the push from Fagistan, Podcastistan, Tucker, Candace, Alex Jones, Megyn Kelly, all attacking Trump. They couldn't draw MAGA away from him. The Democrats are always doing their thing. We survived that. We survived 2 in 1.5 years, 2 government shutdowns they tried to blame on Trump. And yet we're still in it. What else could they possibly do? We're not seeing any riots. It's all, ever since USAID dried up, that's not happening. So what could they possibly drop? People keep saying, oh, just wait, they got more. And I'm like, what else could they possibly do that's worse than what they've already done? Could he survive a stock market crash? Will they try to do that? Tank the economy? I'm betting it's somewhere in the wings. But is that worse than some of the other stuff they pulled off on him? I don't know. I don't think so. So we'll wait and see what else they have up their sleeves. But as of right now, they can't believe they're not winning, running ahead. And the panic, we're starting to see the panic everywhere. That tells me that we're going to win in November. All right, guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe. We got way more coming up here. So, but I do want to take some time to get into the chat, catch up with you all. I did see a super chat come in. Chiosab with a $5 super chat says, Trump looks cool and calm. Doesn't look like he's worried about the midterms. Of course, we all need to show up and vote. Otherwise, it won't work. Amen, brother. Thank you for that. Or sister. I don't know, Chiosab. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to misgender you. But thank you for the support. Thank you, everybody, for the support. You guys are the best. I did see a tag here. Oh, we got more trolls getting out. I love that. I love kicking trolls out. It makes me so happy. When the trolls show up, you know you're on the right track. Howard asked, are the Republicans still having a convention? Yes, I believe it's September 10th, September 12th, somewhere in there in Dallas. And that's another thing that the Democrats don't have because they're not going to have the money to do it. So crazy stuff. Let's see. I thought I saw another one. I guess not. All right. I guess you guys are all happy talking amongst each other. Awesome. All right, guys, if you don't mind, hit the like, hit the subscribe. If you do want to support the channel, you can always send a super chat, or you can go into the description, click the link to the Patreon, get yourself a free month. Try out the membership, try out the Discord 24/7, a great community in there. And then, try out the members lives, which I'll be doing more of this week. I don't think Trump could close the market. I don't think they'd ever let that happen, but who knows? Who knows? All right, let's get into it. So in this next segment, one of the things that I think is really being lost is all the things the Trump administration is actually pulling off. And, they really don't want you to see. They're terrified that you'll see what's actually happening. Because they know that if it actually got out there, how Trump is accomplishing more than any other president in modern history in just a couple of years, that his support would just skyrocket. So this is why it's all focused on what he's doing that's either confusing or they can twist to make it look negative. That's what they love to do. So, but the wins are piling up, and it's important we go over that. So listen, what the Trump administration is currently doing is beyond anything I've ever seen. And we need to look at this one by one, because he's not only doing stuff like Iran, what we just got exposed in Cuba. He's not just trying to protect our elections. All this stuff that gets all the news and is either twisted or mocked or led to confuse. He's also actually doing all kinds of things that are concrete action that are spreading and accomplishing great things. The World Cup is a perfect example of this. The World Cup went by without a hiccup. And as Trump writes right here, The World Cup turned out to be a spectacular success. I want to thank all those involved, but in particular our great law enforcement. Respect everyone has for them, together with love of country, kept this great championship safest and most spectacular World Cup in history by far. Thank you all the others involved. To young and dynamic Andrew Giuliani working for the government of the USA and the fantastic president of FIFA on a job well done. Few people will ever be able to accomplish what's been done, elevating the World Cup to a level nobody thought was possible. Let's talk about how people came here from other countries and couldn't believe what they were experiencing. This all in an environment where we've been told or led to believe by blackpilling types that, you know, are everybody's against us. Even the FBI is completely corrupted still. Kash Patel can't do anything. Guys, they just pulled off basically the equivalent of 104 Super Bowls. Every stadium packed to the gills with their people all over the place from multiple countries coming in, and no terrorist acts. Where's all the sleeper cells? No major attacks, no riots. This is a great tell of how much control Trump actually has, because remember when they were trying to, I covered this a couple weeks ago, trying to make it look like the World Cup wasn't that successful. They were trying to convince everybody that, you know, nothing to see here with all the people coming from other countries celebrating America. Like, couldn't believe how great things were here. Yeah. It's pretty amazing how this just got pulled off. And think of all the resources that are also now coming back to the FBI, local law enforcement, etc., to carry out other things like arrests maybe. But Director Patel and the new FBI, as well as Mullen and the DHS, Secret Service, everyone involved deserve a ton of credit. Lord knows our enemies would have loved to pull off something and launch a media campaign blaming Trump for bringing the World Cup here. It's a huge, huge win. And a lot of this win is happening because of the deportations. So Trump admin activates a secret alien terrorist removal court. This is from Matt Morse. Trump admin has activated long dormant alien terrorist removal court, ATRC, a secretive, never before used process to quickly deport foreign nationals deemed alien terrorists and their immediate family members. Created by the 1996 Anti-Terrorism and Effective Death Penalty Act under President Clinton after receiving overwhelming bipartisan support in the House and Senate, court sat unused until earlier this week. 30 years, this was never used. How insane is that? Acting Attorney Todd Blanton. Now, this goes in to what I often tell you guys, how the Trump administration, Trump's way of getting stuff done is by figuring out every legal avenue. Why? Because a legal avenue means it will last longer. It's harder to challenge and undo. So what the Trump administration has done is unleash all the legal aspects of our government that were being held back. We see this in our military as well. Carrying out the Maduro raid in 45 minutes, no casualties. Our military absolutely obliterating Iran with little to no casualties, no boots on the ground. What Trump's doing is unleashing what America's always had ready to go. We were holding ourselves back for decades. This is part of the managed decline, making us think we suck, making us think the rest of the world is catching up to us, making us think we can't fix these things. Meanwhile, Trump is showing us that all this stuff was already in place and he's just going to use it. It's incredible. Acting Attorney Todd Blanche submitted the first classified submission to the court for its 30-year history. Key details. 5 judges sit on the ATRC, all of whom are selected by Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. That part sucks because that's John Roberts. Oops. Currently 4 Bush-appointed judges and 1 Trump-appointed judge on the court. At least he gave it all Republicans. Criteria include engaging in or endorsing terrorist activity, membership in a terrorist organization, or being the spouse or child of someone inadmissible on the grounds. The ATRC allows the submission of secret evidence and bypasses regular immigration courts for fast and expedited deportations. Legal experts approximate somewhere between 5 to 10% of all illegal aliens currently in the United States would meet the ATRC's criteria for rapid deportation. Ultimately, the revival of the Alien Terrorist Removal Court allows the Trump administration to circumvent the regular courts, immigration courts, offering expedited pathway to deport illegal aliens with whom the government deems to be alien terrorists or their close relatives. Oh, yeah. And they never used it before. They kept this on hold forever, but it's an actual legal court passed through Congress, which means good luck stopping it, folks. Good luck stopping it. This is awesome, and it's why deportations are at its highest level. By the end of 26, we will have deported around 1.2 million aliens, and at the end of 27, if the rate keeps increasing, we should be at 2.2 and so on. If we can end this term with 3 to 4 million physical deportations and 6 to 8 million self-deportations, this will be not just an unarguable success at mass deportations, but the greatest achievement by any president in the last century, in my view. And guess what? We can vote for more in 28. We are on pace right now for roughly 10 to 12 million deported under Trump's administration, while also more, no one coming across the border. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to say. That's not enough. And I would agree with you. However, resources are a thing, folks, and don't forget about that. We have a limited amount of people who can carry these out. We have, it takes time sometimes to go through the courts, and also money. All of it is limiting. There's only so much you can do. But I actually believe this, because we're already well over 2, we're almost 3 million here. The self-deportations will increase because so far the Trump administration has not been able to fully implement all the ways it's going to make it harder to live here. How many more will self-deport once all the benefits are dried up? How many will self-deport once they can't bank here anymore? All of that will lead to an increase in the self-deportations. So don't black pill over this. This is actually a good thing because it's still the most we can do. New ICE data dump reveals the agency carried out 356,000 deportations since October 1st in our fiscal year, roughly 1,300 a day. ICE currently has 65,700 people in detention, 39,500 of whom have criminal convictions or pending criminal charges. Data confirms Border Czar's Tom Homan's recent statements. June saw a record amount of immigration arrests with 43,000, higher than January and February when the surge in Minnesota in effect. July is on pace to break the June record. So it is ramping up. Now, these are the physical deportations. These are the ones they actually go, grab them, send them out. This is a lot. Okay. This is a lot. And again, we have real limitations. And so the fact that it's happening is awesome. You have to find them. You have to do all this stuff. So 10 to 12 million by the end of his term. I would say I wouldn't be shocked if that hits 14, 15 million. We still have a lot to go, but that's a massive chunk, and we'll have all kinds of repercussions. And also don't ignore the fact that the more that are out, harder it gets to work here. We could see a major jump. So let's look back when this is all done. This has all been slowed down by judges, activist judges slowing them down constantly, the nonstop attacks from the media, bad leadership, like when Bovino was screwing stuff up. Kristi Noem is now out. Mullen's doing a better job. Homan's in full charge of this now. We haven't even seen what's possible here yet. Okay, we haven't even seen what's possible. Now, Besant has just let us in on how much of the deep state is still fighting us from within in HHS blocking the fraud. Now, this is the other aspect of what Trump's up against is people in his own administration, holdovers from Obama and Biden, still gunking up the gears of what they want to get done.
Administration, HHS got rid of about 50 or 60 of the people who were charged with monitoring fraud. And Maria, what's important here is that we are stopping the money from going out. So once the money gets out, trying to retrieve it is very, very difficult. So stopping it at the source here is our goal. And Maria, there's hundreds of billions of dollars here, and this is the start. We are off to a great start. You're seeing the Vice President's task force, the unearthed things, all across the healthcare system too.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we've got a spotlight on it, and we're covering it.
Administration.
Biden administration, HHS got rid of 50 or 60 of the people monitoring fraud. So what's doing this? They just fired all these people who are blocking it. blocking the stopping of the fraud. The money going out, that was the key. Once it got out, it was much harder to track. So by getting rid of them, they're cleaning it up. But again, this is today, this was this morning. There are still people we haven't weeded out yet because they stay silent, and then they do stuff quietly. Quiet quitters. There's all kinds of ways to gunk up a system as an employee. Don't process certain papers. Wait too long to get stuff done. All that allows fraud, everything else to keep moving forward. And yeah, it takes a while to get rid of them. But since Trump won in the Supreme Court about being able to fire all these people, it's starting to ramp up, and will continue to do so. Now, there has been a big psyop on Mullen in DHS that he is stopping deportations and that he's actually trying to get people to stay. 50 Republicans the other day signed off on an amnesty bill in the House. These are all 50 Rhino Republicans. It's not any of the ones we like. However, it shows how deep our rot still is on our side. But the push is trying now to get a lot of these illegals, especially on farm, to stay. There's Republican labor people making this push. And now the psyop going around is that Mullen's one of them. But you look deeper, you see the truth. Article says Mullen met business leaders to discuss how to improve employer compliance without shocking the economy. Employer compliance. That means getting rid of the illegals. It says worksite enforcement will continue. Construction job rates have actually increased under Mullen. That's the facts, folks. But the Washington Post didn't want you to think that. See, Washington Post, CIA-run paper, says Department of Homeland Security under Mark Wayne Mullen is cultivating a relationship with business groups whose concerns about losing workers to aggressive immigration enforcement have been rebuffed by the former secretary. Do you see the framing of this story? It's to make it look, they're wanting to scare MAGA into thinking that Trump is failing them. It's what they do. They keep doing this, and they just keep coming up with no new ways to do it. But it's not going to happen. The deportations are going up. Now, look at this crazy thing that's coming out. And this is huge. See, you guys understand, as I often say, exposure is the beginning of justice. Once something is exposed, then you enter the either deeper investigation phase or we have to initiate justice phase. Well, look what the Biden administration was doing with Social Security. And this is literally insane.
Immigration gave a work authorization document to illegals just 5 months after they filed for asylum. That document allowed them to work while they waited to hear whether their asylum request had been accepted or denied. So they could work as an illegal, knowing it would take years before their case was heard. The Immigration Department mailed them a Social Security number. No interview, no proof of identity. They just put it in the mail. Here's your number. In 2021, DOJ says 270,000 new aliens were issued Social Security numbers, 590,000 in 2022, 964,000 in 2023, and 2.1 million in 24.
Do you see the increase? This is what the fraud is all about, going after the fraud. This is crazy. And yes, this report is older, but it's just now making its rounds on X. This is insane, folks. 10 times. The Biden administration was absolutely trying to set everything up so the illegals could stay here, could rob our system, and they were the influx was massive. You see this, and people are like, "No, don't worry. But they couldn't rig our election because Trump won." This tells me that they probably rigged it even more than they did in 2020. They just weren't able to pull it off because they obviously were pushing everything else, weren't they? This is insane. Makes you very angry because by getting these Social Security numbers, most likely also open Social Security accounts. They could lie as citizens. It's not hard once you have a Social Security number. Stuff is crazy. Crazy. And this is what they're shutting down right now. But again, it's going to take time. It's going to take time because of resources, finding all this, digging it up. You better believe the Biden administration just like Obama before it, did everything they could to muddy the waters and make it hard to undo this. But that's why Trump's 12 to 15, maybe possibly 20 when it's all said and done, deportations in one term is going to honestly be a major achievement, despite the fact it's not what people want. But this, guys, this is no joke. 10 times overall. So in 4 years, we're looking at almost 5 million illegals got Social Security numbers. That's crazy. And the fraud just keeps coming out. Here's the latest from Bessent on more fraud being uncovered.
His common sense agenda. It's common sense. And President Trump issued an executive order for us to be able to go to the do not pay, to have it interact with the Treasury payment systems. And as a result, so far, we've saved about $100 million, payments that didn't go to deceased people and that would have gone out. We think that there's up to 350 million that we can stop before the end of this year, and that goes along with the Vice President's task force on eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. The GAO estimates that it might be this number might be up to $500 billion, which is about 1.66% of GDP. So that could go a long way towards paying down the debt, providing more services. And this is just the start, Maria.
That is incredible. I mean, for all of the fighting that we see back and forth between the Republicans and the Democrats about governing and about allocating capital and spending money on projects, to think that there's all these millions of dollars or tens of millions of dollars that have actually been, on the cutting room floor because of fraud and waste that people just weren't paying attention to. I mean, is that all it is, that people didn't look at?
Wow. 100 million to deceased payees. And there could be up to 500 billion in total fraud. That's insane. If the Biden had been still in power, 100 million would have been paid and lost. The executive order, they can go into the do not pay to have it interact with Treasury payment systems. Again, guys, it's always a financial war. Everything's economic. This is how they fund all the leftist agendas. This is how they fund the riots. This is how they fund the protests. This is how they grow and make you think they're bigger than they actually are. It's all through the lies. It's all through the media pushing narratives, and then the money that was being funneled to them to allow them to do it. SPLC is just a very small, very small bit of the fraud, and it was a huge deal that was busted up. But this is crazy. They think they could stop up to 350 million by the end of the year, says Bessent. That's so much money. That's crazy. I know it's small compared to our economy, but it's a lot of money. As he says, the GAO estimates the number might be up to 500 billion, which is 1.66% of GDP. Guys, if we, again, the belief is you cover up all the fraud, we could see $1 trillion, $2 trillion cleaned up. Think about that. Think about how all that money has been going out, funding all these agendas for decades. And it's only been getting worse the last couple decades. This is nuts. Absolutely nuts. But again, it's why our government hasn't made sense for so long. See, we all knew it. We all knew, like, this crazy amounts of money we're spending. This crazy how much we're going into debt. We all could feel it. We just didn't have... There was no air blown on it. There was no light exposed on exactly why. But now it makes so much more sense, doesn't it? Why the welfare state had to keep growing. Why Medicare and Social Security were in so much trouble. All fraudulent. Insane. But we're catching it, and we're also doing all kinds of other amazing things. Here's a massive breakthrough that we're getting out of the Maha movement from RFK. This is huge, and I believe this is only beginning of seeing a lot of good news starting to come in the form of cures and diseases. But listen to this.
It's one of the most agonizing diseases. I've talked to a lot of people who have it, and it's absolutely debilitating. People can't get out of bed in the morning. They're in agonizing pain all day long. And what we've done now is we've developed a system. We actually did it in South Carolina first, but now it's moving across the country, where we have a cure. The cure is very expensive. It costs several $100,000. The insurance companies like it because if that person with sickle cell continues to live and does not get treatment, it costs millions of dollars. So the insurance companies are willing to spend maybe $400,000 or $500,000 at the outset and cure that person for life. And we now have a cure for sickle cell anemia. And the question was, how do you get it to people because it's so expensive?
So yeah,
we made deals with Medicaid and Medicare and with the private insurance companies that they will cover this now. So this is now being done. And I've talked to people who have done this and they're completely cured. The women who take it cannot have children, but so there's a downside. But for them, it's a godsend because, it's a life of agonizing pain. And now they're free from it.
Right.
And it's really a miracle drug. And, came out of our, biopharmaceutical industry. And the pharmaceutical companies are working with us and the insurance companies and Medicaid and Medicare to make sure we can get it to everybody eventually.
Okay.
Curing sickle cell anemia. This is huge. I've known people who suffer from this. This is massive. And he's forcing the Medicaid, Medicare, insurance companies to cover it. Spend maybe $400,000 or $500,000 at the outset and cure a person for life. See, I don't know if you guys have read RFK's writings, but he's really about how Fauci in the 80s started turning the pharma companies, the HHS, all of our medical system and food to get us sick all the time and keep us sick so they could keep making money off of us. Give us just enough to survive, keep living, and then keep making the money off of our meds. This was all by design over time. He talked about how in 1978, there was so little cancer in America that the American Cancer Association almost went out of business. Interesting. How the tobacco companies bought the food companies. How many cures have been withheld from us? That's the question. How many have been withheld from us? How many times have they used our diseases, our sicknesses to keep us sick longer, to just treat our symptoms and give us something else to make us sicker? This is real cures really happening. This is incredible stuff. And I believe it's only going to keep getting better. Remember, for everybody who thinks, where was this stuff at the beginning? Why were, first year, why did it take so long? Well, you got to understand what they came into was such an absolute disaster. There were so many people in the bureaucracy. People think a president comes in and all of a sudden the whole government is run by that president. That's not true at all. See, the true deep state is the bureaucracy. The bureaucracy are the full-time government employees who never leave. And you know what Democrats did every time they came in? They grew the bureaucracy. They grow the government exponentially so that the government stays in control of them even when a different president comes in. Trump fought it like crazy his first term, and that's what limited his first term so much. This second term, the first year was spent to unwinding a lot of the bureaucracy so that they could actually start getting stuff done now. That's what we're looking at. And I know like RFK said, there's a downside to this drug for women. It sterilizes them. That's awful. That is awful. But very few people relatively have sickle cell anemia. And if it frees you of pain your whole life, like that's a few people, and they got to make that choice. I get it. Just like we do with so many other things. And hopefully they develop it so it gets that out of there. But still, we're talking actual cures now. Actual cures. That's huge. That's absolutely huge. Now, another win coming up is today, this morning, Anna Paulina Luna announced that they're finally going to vote on banning insider trading. Now, Mike Johnson's come out and supported this as well. We're going to get rid of it. Goodbye, insider trading. Good luck to the Senate coming up with reasons not to support this. We'll see how it goes, but this will make it through the House. I feel very confident about that. She writes, this week we are finally voting on banning insider trading after the kicking and screaming Burchett and I endured. Finally got a vote on it. Watch how it overwhelmingly passed. By the way, want to see who's doing it? Look no further than their disclosures. See who has become a multimillionaire off a congressional salary using stock trades. Don't forget, Hakeem Jeffries told his Democrat members to not sign the discharge petition, even though it was part of a co-authored Democrat bill. These people are sick. But good stuff. Good stuff. More wins moving forward. We got a huge arrest yesterday. The Sinaloa cartel. Listen to this.
This defendant perpetrated
if you can, it's very quiet. Sorry.
Unquantifiable carnage on this country.
All right, that's not transferring well to my stream. But yesterday, co-founder, DOJ Criminal Division, co-founder of the Sinaloa cartel, Ishmael El Mayo Zambada Garcia, sentenced to life in prison in order to forfeit $15 billion in drug trafficking profits. Narco trafficker El Mayo was sentenced to life in prison, marking the end of his reign over Sinaloa cartel, one of the most violent, deadly drug cartels in history. He'll never again inflict carnage, corrupt public officials, or traffic deadly drugs into our communities. El Mayo's conviction is historic, reflects Justice Department's commitment to total elimination of cartels and transnational criminal organizations. Listen to this. Commitment to the total elimination of cartels and transnational criminal organizations. You know, the cartels have laundered up to $500 billion through our markets every year. There's a whole lot connected to cartels, which are also very City of London oriented. Our intelligence communities have used them, especially the CIA. We're wiping them out. This stuff's we haven't seen stuff like this before. Not since the 80s when we went after several of the big ones. We haven't seen a major attack on the cartels, on the drug trade, like we're seeing by the Trump administration, which is why fentanyl's down, overdoses are down. We're just trending in the right direction. This is huge. See, I continually get frustrated. And by the way, I will say, we're not seeing it as much anymore. But I used to get, every time I talked about Trump, every time I was doing a show, where's the arrests? And to your guys' credit, not seeing it much anymore. I think people are finally understanding that the arrests are happening. It's just not happening in the way we expected or hoped for, but realizing and recognizing that the real work is being done. And it's only a matter of time till it works itself up, as I see it. Now, manufacturers are also now coming out and saying that the tax law last year, we're starting to now see the effects of the One Big Beautiful Bill. We're starting to see growth in the economy. We're starting to see inflation go down. We're starting to see manufacturing tick up. And the actual companies are finally now coming out after a year of this bill being in place, saying this law protected our jobs, preserved our wages, and economic growth in every state. And that's only going to continue. See, once you pass economic policy, it takes 12, 18 to 24 months to really see the results. This happened to Reagan. It's why Reagan got clobbered in his first midterm, but then turned around and won 49 of 50 states in 84. He did it because the economy finally caught steam after his midterms. What Trump's dealing with right now is the economy is only just now showing the results of his economic policy. And he's hoping that it's going to really pick up before the midterms. If it does, Republicans are already close. If the economy starts showing massive growth in the next 3.5 months, it's over for the Democrats. But again, the setup is here for the last 2.5 years of Trump's term to start growing into what I believe is going to be the greatest economy we've ever seen in our lifetimes. I believe that's where we're headed because Trump's economic policies are the best of any president in my lifetime. And I believe in all of our lifetimes. All of us who are 100 plus years old And nobody's older than that. Nobody's older, what, 115 in America? We have not seen a president reshaping an economy like Trump's doing. We're starting to see the beginning benefits, and it's only going to get better from here. So for everybody who, has been dooming on Trump and listening to people like me saying like, okay, fine, this is what he might be doing, but what's he doing for me now? Well, the economy is turning around. His policies are working. We are getting arrests. We are cleaning up fraud. We are deporting. We're getting everything we voted for. It's either happening or in process. And that, folks, is massive. And that's something that we should all be sharing. But guess what? The media doesn't want you to see these things. They're barely reporting it. Why? Because this presidency is the most effective, complete, pro-American presidency of our lifetimes. And if everybody knew, if the media was fair and reporting everything I just covered here and then some, Trump's approval would be 70%. That's why they have to hide it so much. We are winning in ways we've never seen before. And it's only going to get better from here, especially if we win the midterms. Watch out. All right. Hit that like and subscribe, folks. We got a Grifter report up next. And the stars this time are the Tate brothers and their arrest. But before we get into it, I do got to catch up on the super chats. Carson Browning with a $5 super chat says, I love you go live when I'm working. Gives me something good to listen to while I'm at work. Well, Carson, first of all, thank you so much for the super chat. Secondly, I learned from the best, and that is Mr. Rush Limbaugh himself. I noticed when I was going, changing my timing on my lives, that nobody, and I mean nobody, was streaming in Rush's old time slot. And I thought to myself, well, that's crazy. If Rush was doing, and I was West Coast, so it was 9 to 12. So East Coast, it was 12 to 3. I was like, if Rush did it, it had to have been excellent. He's a GOAT. He's the greatest ever. And so in honor of Rush, I was like, I want to take that slot and see what happens. And turns out everybody can listen to me at work, and it's going well. So I'm glad you enjoy it, and I thank you for your super chat. Chio said with a $5 super chat says tons of affordable housing and jobs in Springfield, Ohio now that the Haitian illegals have left. Plenty of dogs, cats, and other pets too. Oh, the dogs, the cats, they're not being eaten anymore. They're free. I freed the cats. I freed the dogs. Nobody's eating them anymore. They're available. You can adopt them. You can go find them on the street. Because nobody's picking them up, putting them in their mouth anymore, taking a bite. It's over. The long nightmare is over for Springfield, Ohio. Thank you, Giozep. That's awesome. Appreciate you sharing. And Laura Paulson with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Laura, for your support of the channel. Sleepy Trashman with a $5 super chat says, was having internet problems this morning. Can only be one thing that caused it, the Seahawks. I know. And Shogun knows this too. He knows those dirty damn Seahawks are screwing up everybody. They're screwing up everybody's internet. They're messing with my stream. It's all because they hate all Niners fans. And anybody who watches the Niners fans, it's terrible. But it's always the Seahawks. It's always the Seahawks. Okay, let me make sure I'm not missing anybody else who tagged me or tried to give me some. Is the Clarity Act incoming? I believe so. I believe they're going to get that through. We'll, but we got to wait and see if they finally do it. I believe it's got enough support though. I don't know what the holdup's been, but it's been talked about a while. Like it's going to be it's a gimme, so. Andrew Thompson with a $20 super chat says Rush Limbaugh was the Charlie Kirk for Xennials and older, including me. I mean, yeah, in a way, for sure. Listen, Rush is the GOAT. He is the smartest, best broadcaster I've ever seen and ever listened to. He has also taught me so many things. And I believe he taught Charlie Kirk some things like how to always find the silver lining, how to always keep fighting, how to always maintain positivity and a positive outlook for the future, no matter what. He did it through the Obama administration, man. It's crazy. So yeah, Rush was the GOAT. The only thing that I would say different is, Rush, I wouldn't say his personal life was always the best. And the man was, he didn't take very good care of himself. He's a little arrogant, but I still loved Rush to death. He definitely didn't do what Charlie did on the ground. And, while Rush has a greater impact on American history, because he did it for 40 years, Charlie had a bigger impact, in his short time on the 24 election and stuff like that. So, they're both greatly missed, and losing Charlie, because we got Rush right till he was almost 70. He almost, we got him for a good long time. Charlie was such a tragedy because we lost him early. So, Josh, what's my opinion on the Kirk case? You'd have to watch the Grifter reports for that, brother. It's too long to just give you a quick synopsis. Shogun, word on the street, JD Vance is a Seahawks fan. I told you, that's the end for me. No, he's from Ohio. He's probably a Steelers fan, which is almost as bad. Lil Rue, do I consider the bill passed by the House to give temp visas to farmer helpers considered amnesty? What's going on with this? Yeah, it's amnesty because it creates a pathway to citizenship, which gives them an easy way in. So yes, I consider it amnesty. Also, there's a reason why none of the MAGA Republicans supported it, and it's not going to pass the Senate. And if it squeaked by with 60 or 61 votes, Trump would veto it. So I'm not worried about it. Not going to get into that. Yeah, Rush had a lot of struggles, which, but I'm going to focus on the good of Rush. He was just one of the best ever. Trump is working on colleges, clean them out, Liz. And he's already made it so that the new rule is that if you are going after one of these woke degrees that don't make any money, that the government won't fund the loan. So the Cowboys are messing with it. I'm sure it's one of them. Is terrible, terrible, evil teams. That's all you need to know. All right. All right. Well, guys, anybody else has some for me, please tag me, or if you want to support the channel, super chat at me, and I will get to it after the next segment. I promise. Questions, comments, disagreements are welcome. But in the meantime, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Consider trying out the membership for free by going into the description, clicking that Patreon link. Try it out for a month. See if you like the extra content in the Discord group. And I'm pretty sure you will, but you can at least try it for free. If you want. I didn't think you were attacking Apert. So go out of the chat, hit the like, come back in it. Do it. No. Do it now. Mayor Bass is a commie, as we just talked about. She went to Cuba. So degree in psychology, sociology, liberal arts, 200,000 a joke. I know somebody. Actually, I should say my wife knows somebody. One of her friends got a degree from Juilliard. So very expensive. I'm sorry, it wasn't Juilliard. It was another one. It was a huge art school, Delaware or something. It wasn't Juilliard. But their degree was furniture design, and their degree cost like $250,000, $300,000. And guess what? Do you think they use it? No, not for at all. Like, it's crazy. So, there you go. That's all you need to know. So that's what, yeah, these are crazy, crazy things. I just cannot believe some of the things that are out there. I mean, just furniture design. Are you freaking kidding me? How retarded do you have to be to even want to do that degree? I'm looking at all these degrees and furniture design. Oh, man. Just insane stuff. I believe she's still paying off her loans. And And I don't even think she's employed. I think she's as a housewife who's like got an aspiring writer. I'm sorry. Should make fun of people? No, yes, you should. When people make dumb things, you make fun of their decisions. You know, it's like the dumbest thing ever. Yeah, don't do a liberal arts degree, folks. They're retarded. I told my kids, like, because they're my older kids are at that age. They're about to graduate high school, and they're like, "What do we do, Dad? College? Should we go to college?" I'm like, "Do not go to college unless you really want to be an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer." And but even then, let's wait. You're 18. You don't know what you want to do. Let's talk about this. And by the way, you're paying for it. Like, I'm not paying for it. You'll have to pay for it. And so you better make sure it's worth it. Yeah, that's so. There's all kinds of ways to do it. You tech schools, there's so many different ways to do it. But you got like 10 jobs with no degrees. Yeah. Listen, I don't have my degree. I did go to college. I was a political science major. I went through the whole gamut, okay? Because they told me to go to college. What do you do when you get out of high school? You go to college. That's how I was raised. I didn't know what I wanted. So at first I thought I was going to be a creative writer. So I was English and I wanted to write screenplays for Hollywood. So I went as an English major and I was like, this sucks. So then I changed to a computer science degree and that sucked. I hated the math. And then I took a couple years off. I coached basketball. I was like, I love this. I want to be a basketball coach. I went back as a kinesiology major. Well, all it was science of the body. They didn't teach coaching at all. So I was like, well, this sucks. So then I ended up as a political science major. And because I just was interested in politics with no plans to be a lawyer or anything. This is me being a dumb kid. Even though I was smart, I was dumb. Because I didn't know and nobody was helping me figure it out. So I was a political science major. I studied so much of my own that by just reading that I aced all my classes. I was top in my class. And then the government screwed me over on my final loan. So I didn't even get my degree. I just got the debt. Luckily, I wasn't stupid enough to take on like crazy debt. Yeah. And so I didn't even end up with my degree. And guess what? Didn't hurt me. Maybe a little bit at first, but I've been lots of different things. I've managed several businesses. I've been a marketing director at a good sized company. I just hustled and did my stuff. Became really good at business, became good at marketing, and kept my desire, like my love of stuff. And yeah, I don't have a degree. Oh well, doesn't matter. Okay. Anyways. Yeah, get a paid internship, go to tech school, something like that. Okay, let's talk. We need to get into the Grifter Report because this is shaking up the whole Podcastistan landscape right now as one of the biggest subculture. It's how do I paint this picture? It's like a subculture on the conservative side of grifter, but he's a hero in that sense, and that's Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, the Tate brothers, are in big trouble. So the other day, Andrew Tate and his brother were arrested in Miami by U.S. officials saying, we are going to extradite you to UK for your crimes. There's a whole flood of craziness going on over this. People are freaking out, but it's really impacting the whole podcast sphere because this is an exposure of one of the people they kind of lauded as someone to look up to. And now we know that the DOJ was a big part of it, was behind it, as U.S. DOJ officially confirmed that DOJ leadership approved the arrest of the Tate brothers by Florida officials, which contradicts their lawyers, what the lawyer is saying. Now, Andrew Tate, interestingly enough, had a video ready to go if he got busted. Now, That's kind of strange, isn't it? A 3-hour and 20-minute video called Why They Arrested Me. Where was it filmed? At the Milken Conference. See, these people are never who they tell you they are. Milken is one of the most exclusive gatherings of money and power in the country, and Tate was in there. Same week, he sat down with Paolo Zampoli, Trump's special envoy for global partnerships, man who says out loud people come to him when they want access to the president. Why was Tate trying to get close to Trump? While Tate tells his audience he's a hunted outsider, he was working the center of American power and courting a Trump insider. This video is an origin myth. They condition the world to hate him. There's a war against the Matrix itself. That's what he's claiming. We have seen this genre before. When an accused predator has media connections, he doesn't go quiet, he produces. Before 2019, Jeffrey Epstein, already convicted sex offender, sat for roughly 15 hours of filmed interviews with Steve Bannon. Bannon. It just keeps coming up. It was packaged as a documentary and built as media train to soften his image and bury the trafficking story. Epstein also brought in Michael Wolff, the big Trump hater, who had written a magazine profile meant to rehab him. Tate's 3-hour and 20-minute tape is the same product. Reframe the charges as persecution, cast yourself as the truth they fear, sell to an audience that pays. A man facing rape, trafficking, and child image charges record his martyr story from inside the room where access to the president is for sale. That's the question. Why try to get to Trump? I believe he was trying to get a pardon. But that really backfired on him, didn't it? As the DOJ helped him get busted. And why? Well, you know, the story about Tate, I think more and more people are going to finally learn who this guy actually is. He is dirt. This guy is total scum. And the grift was convincing everybody that he was some masculine hero, masculine savior, trying to bring masculinity and strength back to conservatism. And so what he'd do is he'd say some stuff that was good, but meanwhile, the dirty stuff was going on behind the scenes, but not fully behind the scenes, because he was pretty out about how he thought of women and treating them. Here's PDB, who is a true masculine guy worth following on X. Says, take a minute and listen to the video of Tate confessing his crimes of being a pimp. Says, an Epstein is a modern version of him where they control the narrative through influencer networks. So it's modern Epstein. Interesting. It's one way of looking at it. He says, I know what happened in Romania. I know what influencers have been paid to speak positive about the bros. I know how the Rumble CEO tells the rest of the influencers on its platform to not attack the Tates. It's all connected, guys. All these influencers, all this grift, it's all connected. They all know each other. And listen, I'm not in the club. They don't like that I call them out, and I don't ever want to be in their dirty little club. Candace, the Dugan Network, Tucker, all of them, all promoting each other, all covering for each other. It's gross. And Tate, more and more that comes out, the more we understand he was actually a part of it. Here's a little clip of his video.
And I became a multi-millionaire. I did this by creating a webcam studio, by taking girls who didn't know how to be effective on webcam, girls who had never done webcam before, girls who didn't have the equipment, didn't have the know-how, didn't have the will, didn't have the premises, didn't have the ability to make money with this exchange. I created a system that allowed me to convince girls to do this, allowed me to retain 100% control of their income, allowed me to make sure they were effective, because it's a super competitive industry. Don't think this is easy money. You're just going to put a girl on the camera and they're going to get rich straight away. No, it's very competitive and it's very difficult. I learned every tip and trick it takes to make sure a girl gets paid. I know how to make sure the girl can't run away, because once you teach a girl how to do this, she has the ability to make unlimited money from home. Why would she still give it to you? Why does she just run off and keep it all for herself? Why are you getting your percentage? I learned how to do everything to take a nobody and make her a somebody. I learned how to take a nothing, turn her into a cash cow. And betas from all across the world would be sending money into my bank account. This is what webcamming is.
That's pretty gross. That's pretty disgusting. And that sounds exactly similar to what Epstein did. The difference is that he was pimping these girls just for the cash, as far as we know, and not to elites. But, there might be more to the story. Here's, just more on who the Tates actually are. a clip. Tate's arrest is political, and here's some actual footage of Tate and how he treated his women.
Tell me look, man. Say what you mean. I'm gonna stop. You understand me? Did I say listen? Did I say listen to you? Did I say it? No. Did I say it?
Great guy, huh? This is a great guy. I don't want to hear anybody supporting the Tates. I'm sorry, but this is crazy stuff. Here's why he's likely going down. Here's talking about Vivian, who was 15 when he started.
Got my main bitch, my bottom bitch, Vivian. Vivian's younger. So yeah, that's how it started. I met Vivian in Slovakia. We had a long-term relationship thing. I was living in England. I moved her to England to be with me to start doing my webcam company. When I bring on new girls, I usually pair them with Vivian. Because Vivian's younger. Vivian's like 21. So Vivian's been with me 6 years. She's completely head over heels in love with me. She wants kids with me, everything. So Vivian's been with me 6 years. Vivian's like 21. Vivian's younger. I'm fucking all these 16-year-old women or 18-year-old women, whatever the law is. Got my main bitch, my bottom bitch, Vivian. Vivian's younger. So yeah, that's how it started. I met Vivian in Slovakia. We had a long-term relationship thing. I was living in England. I moved.
This is who he is, folks. Here's recently him going after Samantha Smith, survivor of Telford grooming gang, targeted from the age of 5. Here's the bully intimidation. She deleted her post on Andrew Tate. I'm barely 20. I've spent the past few days reliving the worst years of my life in the public eye. Does some shit to you. Have some grace, please. So Tate, you can stop the threats of legal action. I'm sorry. I'm quiet. To which he replied, nobody feels sorry for you. You attacked us first. See you in court. A girl who has been target of a grooming game since 5 years old. The worst people in the world, folks. These are the worst people in the world. The Tates, the people like them, the people defending them. Oh, here's Tate with Candace.
You want to play these games? I'm right here in Miami. Come get me, arrest me, perp walk me, put me on the news, tell everyone I'm a human trafficker. You think I'm not versed? You think I'm not ready? I'm a Navy SEAL in this shit. Fucking come get me, raid my house, take my stuff. You think I sleep with a full phone full of evidence? You think I don't wipe my phone every night? You think I'm dumb? My stuff. You think I sleep with a full phone full of evidence? You think I don't wipe my phone every night? You think I'm dumb? Come get me, arrest me. Let's do this all over again. I've done it for 4 years in Romania. You think I'm scared of your state jail after an Eastern European gulag? I'm staying right here until the case is concluded. Because I beat it here, then what they're going to say? I beat it in England, I beat it in Romania, and I beat it in Florida. I'll beat it everywhere because I haven't done anything to anyone. And if they think they have evidence to arrest me, I'm sure that's exactly what they're going to do. I'm waiting. I will turn on the kettle at 5 a.m. every morning. Hot coffee for every officer. Let's go. Let's go. Come do it. Let's go. I'm not going anywhere.
So today. That's how it started. Real tough here on Candace. Apparently, and I don't have the receipts for this, so this is allegedly. There are rumors he's close friends with Candace's husband, Lord Farmer, George Farmer, and so that's interesting. He did a lot of this stuff in the UK, and that's why Candace has openly promoted him. But that's how it started. Come get me, bro. This is where we're at now.
Expected. There was never going to be any fireworks today. Today wasn't about controversy. Today was about just enforcing Mr. Tate's, Andrew and Tristan Tate's rights and objecting to the extradition process. We are, of course, objecting to extradition.
I guess don't come get me, bro. I love it. Here's the state attorney who just made sure he was arrested on Piers Morgan, saying what he expects is going to come of this.
A final question. If they were convicted on all counts of all these charges, what kind of sentence could they be looking at?
The rest of their lives in prison. I mean, and that's just in the UK. There's also charges back in Romania, and there's an investigation still underway in the United States. So I do not think that the Tate brothers will be able to go back to the life they're used to. I think that their academy, their school, which gives out PhDs for young men to try to be misogynists like them, the PhD stands for pimp and hose degrees. I mean, that tells you who these people are. So I think they're facing the rest of their lives in a prison cell.
The final question.
Rest of their lives in a prison cell. You know what this signals, folks? and why the podcasters are not happy about this. It signals justice coming to influencers. This is a big deal. The Tates have gotten away with it for years. And yes, they had, they were on house arrest in Romania, etc. But they use that just to become bigger. But now this could be the one. Could be the one. This is going to be this is sending massive reverberations throughout the podcast world. You notice how silent all of a sudden so many of them have become? Where's Candace right now? This is her buddy. Where's Tucker? He platformed Tate. He thought he was a cool guy, laughing with him, buddying up with him. This is we get the worst ones first is what we're being shown. Get the worst ones first. But now they're finding out they're not untouchable anymore. They're not being covered up. They're not being protected by the overlords anymore. It's going down. This is the beginning. The Tate brothers aspect has them all scared. It really has them all scared. And good, because these people are awful. They're terrible. You want an example of how terrible they are? Well, we've seen many. I play it all the time. But here's one of the ones that I haven't covered as much. We've only talked about him. But here's Max Blumenthal. Yes, Max Blumenthal. He was on Pierce as well. And this is the guy who is the father-in-law to Joe Kent. Yes, Joe Kent, the upstanding guy who called out the Trump administration for being led by Israel into Iran, who left. And Trump said, bye-bye, because you're a leaker. We don't care. This is Joe Kent's father-in-law and employer. He's paying him to do stories. And just more proof, Joe Kent is total grifter. But here's Max Blumenthal, who just went to Iran for Ayatollah Khamenei's funeral.
Silly games.
I've only asked you to name one bad thing about the Iranian regime. I've given you multiple opportunities to say one. You couldn't say one. I think viewers can
would you even call
viewers can make their own minds up.
I mean,
Max
this is it. You wouldn't even
I've got to leave it there. I gave you
regime.
multiple chances. You couldn't think of a single bad thing to say about the Iranian regime. So we're going to leave it there. Max Blumenthal, thank you very much indeed.
Silly game.
Can't say one bad thing about Iran. I wonder where they're getting that money from. He's funneling his money to Joe Kent. Again, guys, the FARA violations are about to happen. I don't think we're even, ready for all of it. It's going to spread. This is part of taking down the apparatus. In Trump's first term, he took down the mainstream media. Now nobody trusts them. This second term, it's going to be taking down the podcast sphere, the grifter sphere that was built up to replace the mainstream media. It's no coincidence that all these people started showing up with massive audiences. And yes, there are independent people out there. They mix in with them. It's just like there's occasionally a good cable channel. You have people like myself. I'm not that big. You have people like, I think Steven Crowder might be good. I do. I haven't seen anything out, and trust me, I watch these people carefully. But regardless, some people are out there doing good work. And what you do is you listen to them. You make sure they have the receipts for what they're saying. You make sure they don't follow the narratives the other ones are pushing. For example, here's the kind of narratives they push. This is how they subvert. Here's a perfect one out of Alex Jones from this morning. While we're in Iran, blowing them away, while Trump just dropped the news on Cuba, how the ties to communism, how they're subverting our democracy, how they're spreading communism here, how all the stuff Trump's doing. And so how does Alex Jones frame today's news cycle? The Pentagon is out of money. Does anybody actually believe that the Pentagon's out of money? The Pentagon that receives almost $1 trillion a year. Okay. Houthis block the Red Sea. Okay, that's a negative frame right there. So dangerous and bad. They're winning. Laura Ingraham tells Trump, end the war now as polls show Trump's base hates the war. Interesting. Is that true? I would say it's mixed bag, but Trump and the Republicans are improving before the midterms. Interesting. Interesting framing. Plus, the Iranian military begs for a U.S. ground invasion. Oh, he wants us all scared that there's going to be a ground invasion. Because that's the one thing MAGA doesn't want to see. Everything else, we're like, okay, as long as we're winning. But you see how it works, folks? See how they do it? This is Alex's grift right here. it's all about, because he doesn't outright say Trump is bad, but he does frame it as the walls are closing in. It's all falling apart. And this isn't even the biggest news of the day. Everybody with any journalist worth their salt, any content creator worth their salt, is going to be talking about the massive bombshell released by the State Department that Cuba has been infiltrating us with their communism and their ties to, yes, City of London and China. But no, that's not what Alex is going to talk about. The great conspiracy mind. I'm always right. I tell you guys what's coming before. You know why? Because Alex has always been giving us, he's diverting our attention. This is what they do. Divert our attention from what's really going on. Salacious, sometimes true, interesting stuff, but divert your attention. This is what the podcasters do. This is how they subvert Trump. This is how they use what they've been taught, the intelligence agency way of doing things. Get you thinking about something else in a negative frame. These people are terrible people. The Tates did it. It was all about masculinity. Meanwhile, they're trafficking girls. They always reframe it. They always point you in different directions. You're in a matrix. That was Tate's big thing. Well, Alex is, everything's a conspiracy except the City of London. You notice how he's never, ever brought that up? When we can all see the ties to the UK. Don't even call it City of London. That's fine. Call it, call it the system of, the financial system funding the globalists. Call it that. But he never pinpoints where it comes from, which is the original system coming out of the UK. Alex never goes there. Why? He'll talk about Russia. He'll talk about China. He'll definitely talk about Trump screwing up, but never that. Interesting. I noticed this a while ago. So but this is what they do. And this is why, he's avoiding the Tate story. That's a huge story, a massive story, especially for people who watch Alex, especially for people who are into secondary media, independent media. Huge story. Not talking about it all. Not funny. Very, very interesting. As Brian Cates says, I was strongly hinting to people about this over a year ago, even though I wasn't explicitly using their names yet. If I just told you they were part of a network reading paid talking points to try to take down the Trump base, fracture MAGA, and pull the American youth away from Trump and TPUSA, how many of you would have believed me? But their distinct lack of success has forced the Dugan Network and several other foreign-based networks to make it ever more increasingly obvious where they're attempting to Pied Piper the followers away from. Anybody who says they're still falling for the grift at this point, as she sits there, he's talking about Candace, and makes those faces as she babbles away for the camera, is either in on it or trolling you for shits and giggles. Tucker, Megan, Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're all in it together. It's all part of it. Alex, Candace, all of it. The Tates, they all come from different aspects. They all approach it in different ways. They all don't necessarily like each other, but they're all getting the funding. They all have the same mission, and it is to get you distracted, to get you scared, to get you blackpilled, to make you think Trump is either one of them or failing. It's always about no hope. We're losing. You've been duped. Let's go chase another rabbit trail distraction that ultimately won't accomplish anything. That's what they do, folks. That's what they do. But it's all falling apart on them. And again, this has them terrified. The whole Tate thing has them terrified because he might be going away for life. He might be going away for life. And this is just the beginning. FARA violations could be abundant here soon. And we'll find out. But I do believe that because the DOJ signed off on this with the Tates, that much more is coming for many of those in the podcast phagosphere. And that's going to be a good thing for all of us. All right, guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Thank you all for watching, for your attention to this matter. That's my last main segment for today, but I do want to spend some time in the chat, catch up with you guys, answer your questions or comments if you have any. So tag me if you have a question or comment. If you want to support the channel, you can always send a super chat and let me catch up in here. But thank you guys for watching. If nothing else, please hit that like, subscribe on your way out. I really appreciate the show. Thank you guys for bearing with me when I had the technical difficulties at the beginning. That was annoying. And hopefully tomorrow I'm back on track. But you never know. Josh says, admit the frogs are gay, clips are gold. The frogs are gay. Yeah, they are. Tokram says YouTube featured. What does that mean? Does YouTube feature my channel? I didn't get over, I mean, I had good views today, but nothing crazy. That'd be cool if I was on YouTube featured. Surfer says, I got a BS degree somewhat related to my field in aviation. I did not ever need the degree. It's more my military training got me the job, and my AS degree from the Air Force helped. All right. Yeah, again, it's like, what you make the most of it if you got a degree that wasn't great, right? That's kind of what you got to do. That's the way to do it. All right, let me see here. Did Trump bring back firing squads? Yes, they did. They what's the word I'm looking for? They brought them back as a potential way for the death penalty federally. Yeah. So that is really cool. I am looking in the Discord. What? I missed it. Huh. What? Hold on a second. Where am I looking? Oh, announcements. Oh, cool. YouTube featured. I don't know what that means, but that's cool. That's awesome. Pete Sunnyside. So they could not run away is what he admitted on live stream equals sex trafficking or what? I mean, it definitely doesn't sound good, does it? Doesn't sound like those girls had much of a choice once they got in, right? And that's what a lot of, sex trafficking is. They will they'll find a girl who is a runaway or desperate or looking for a way to make money, and they'll take advantage of her, tell her, we got a great way for you to make money, blah, blah, blah. And get her doing stuff she isn't really comfortable with. They might get her drunk. They might get her on drugs, and she'll start doing it. And then what they'll do is they'll build the blackmail against her and make it tougher and tougher. And then they'll control her money. This is what they do with women being trafficked in actual prostitution. This is what they do with, obviously, what Tate was doing on the webcams. Yeah, it's all trafficking. It's disgusting. So terrible, terrible stuff. But yeah, I saw it. It is cool. So, all right. Well, guys, I'm not seeing much come in. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you all for supporting the channel. Again, likes, subscribes are great. If you want to, the viewer supported channel, if you want to become a member, try the description, click the Patreon link, get in there, try it out, try out the Discord, the amazing community in there. It's 24/7 members lives, members classes. It's all in there. So I recommend it. I think it's worth trying out if nothing else. That's in the description. And if nothing else, I will see you guys tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, 12 o'clock noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Western, West Coast. So let's pray and we'll call it a day. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you, God, for all these people watching, God, and my ability to do this show. And I thank you for that, Lord, and their support and everything that goes in with that. Father, I pray a blessing over each and every one of them in Jesus' name. And Lord, we pray for our president and for everybody working with him to advance this agenda to get out the City of London system, communism, the far left craziness out of our country. I pray it continues to be exposed. People wake up. And that we see miracles in this midterm season, Father. That's what we're asking for. And protect President Trump and everybody working with him, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Pray for more corruption to be exposed, justice to be done in our nation, that, God, you would bring peace and prosperity to us like we've never seen before. And, God, give each one of us, God, the knowledge, wisdom, and inspiration to do whatever it is we can do, small or big, in order to advance a better country going forward. In Jesus' name, amen. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see y'all tomorrow for Hump Day. See you then. God bless.
Headlines screaming like a siren at night. Red and blue shouting, nobody's right. Smoke in the streets, truth under attack. Everybody's loud, nobody's got facts. Feeds keep scrolling, nerves stay tight. Matchsticks